Good Monday morning. Welcome in. Short week. The kickoff the summer at the end of the week, Memorial Day. So we're just a foursome.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah, we don't no live show on Friday. So get in all your bad or good takes in the next 4 days. Hope everybody had a great weekend.
Great weekend.
It's a great week ahead in terms of sports. We're down to the Final Four in the NBA, the NHL. It was a great weekend for softball. It will be another banger of a weekend for softball in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Plus baseball, college baseball. This is the home of college baseball. The Big Ten tournament and the Summit League tournament are here as a tease before the College World Series. We have a dude on the PGA, and Keggs is on the way to Omaha.
We have a lot
next week. Yes, we do. Good morning to all of you, and look who's back.
Jimbo?
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
no,
Jimmy,
you are.
Jimmy is back.
Yeah, I'm
off
sorry.
The
Everyone
IL.
misses Peter.
No.
Love Peter.
Well, we love Peter.
You should.
But we missed you. All the YouTube chats and everything like that. I do want to apologize for everybody to hear and for Jimmy to hear about my funny man comments on Monday, not knowing the severity of your
almost death.
Situation.
You mean you didn't find my convulsions funny?
I did not.
You didn't find my widowed wife funny?
No.
When you go over and kick her in the belly just to finish her off?
No.
Wow. This went from 0 to 60 pretty quick.
No.
I missed you.
Let him let him apologize.
I truthfully did not know the seriousness of your situation. I thought it was just a painful kidney stone situation. I am eating a lot of crow, and rightfully so. I miss you. I love you. You know how I feel about you. I'm glad you're back.
What did I say
glad
before?
You're back.
If it was just a stone, my ass would have been at work every day last week drinking lots of water. But see, it's the infection that damn near kills you.
And I'm very, very happy.
Hey, but shout out drugs.
You're here. I'm very happy you're here. I'm very sorry for my jokes. I'm very happy you're here. Totally on me. Wouldn't do it without you.
You know, if there's someone that doesn't hold grudges, it's me.
Oh,
I'll have to work
that was quite the moment on the show. Thank you.
It had no.
Now you're gonna have to apologize to the urologists out there that are just busting my balls all weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That too. I'm sorry.
And many of our listeners that know.
No, I mean, I never said that. I never made fun of their profession. I just didn't realize the severity of what kidney stones can do. And I'm glad that there are plenty of urologists out there to help our friend Jimmy and people similar who go through the things that he went through.
Shout out to them.
So shout out to the urologists.
There are more urologists that listen to the show than I would have ever imagined.
And I thank each and every one of you, including the one that operated on me.
I don't know that I do because, okay. So we had a moment on the show last week. But you know what? You guys do a really, really good job. We just don't know in public need to go in depth about exactly what you do. Okay?
Yes.
You have letters after your name, and
it pays well.
You studied a lot, and you did what you needed to do.
You're very talented, but it's Matt at 1620thezone.com
yep,
is where
that's
you
MATT.
Yeah.
Screw the seriousness. That's not why I came back here. The thing I missed.
It's a job and you get paid and you got a young one on the way.
And the spectacular benefits and everything like that. But what I miss the most is, and this is the God's honest truth, is the reason why our job is fun is because we laugh.
Yeah.
That's the point. We don't exactly.
Well,
we're not sitting in a cubicle in a short sleeve shirt and a tie like Michael Douglas and falling down. Don't have a stick up our ass. We laugh and we have fun. And I missed so much last week. Of course, this had to happen when they released the schedule. You and I are getting together for Thanksgiving. You and I are going to have a game, and you're welcome to watch with me, but you're going to be put to work with some changing and stuff like that if that happens. So them's the rules. So, and that was just the start of it. There was just so much that went on. I was like, I missed everything. Now Jack's coming up to Omaha, and
I know. Caglianone's on the way. They first go to Salt Lake City, and then they're home for 12 straight. Jack Caglione is coming to Omaha, and it's not in a Gator uniform. He'll be one of us. We are free to cheer for him, to go and watch him, and he comes at a good time for Warner Park because school is about to be out. The weather is warming up. People will go to the ballpark. The attendance has been down a little bit because they haven't been lucky with the weather at all. So that was good news yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That was a drop. That was a late afternoon news drop on a really good weekend for sports. Let me give you the lineup first before we get into what we're going to discuss today. Evan Bland will stop by at 8:30. So, Jimmy, I'm glad that you're back, okay?
Me too.
We'll get an in-depth on the kidney stones. Are you?
I am. I'm very glad Jimmy's back.
Where's the donuts and coffee?
Yeah. Remember, I said for everybody else.
I will bring them in tomorrow. I will bring in donuts and coffee in tomorrow.
You have to take care of the whole building. By the way, shout out to whoever sent me the fruit.
No, I ain't taking care of the whole building. I'm taking care of the guys. All right, taking care of my team.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's us. That's
there. It's
not like there's 50 people in this building.
That's a good point.
But you're back, and I do have questions about the whole thing.
I don't recommend it.
But
not the questions. But
you are back overcoming the pain, so you get to come back and try and figure out. As I tried to walk people through last week, the Big Ten bracket, which now more people are onto.
Confused.
And like, what the? So you'll be able to do that.
My wife tried to explain that bracket to me, and I had to pop a Vicodin after hearing that because I was like, I don't get this.
Here's
I just know Nebraska's coming. Here's the
Big Ten baseball bracket. Nebraska needs to go 4-0.
There you go.
Period. Stop. But Evan Bland will be in at 8:30 to try and explain away about what we are going to encounter beginning at 10 a.m. tomorrow in Omaha for what? Is this the 8th straight year? The 8th straight year the Big Ten baseball tournament's been here?
That sounds right.
Sounds right to me. It's only ever been here the X amount of years that I've been here. I've only ever known the Big Ten baseball tournament to be here since I've
it's going to be cold
ventured
this
to
week.
Good old Nebraska. I know.
No, isn't it supposed to be warm?
Tuesday, Wednesday is supposed to be cold, but then we're on our way. By the time
we
get to the big games.
We do not need delays. We do not need Big Ten baseball or Summit League baseball after dark.
We
don't need the Oregon-Stanford softball game being played at midnight about 6 hours ago.
2 weeks ago, it was like 90 degrees for an entire week. And then this week, I kind of did enjoy the 67 and like slightly breezy, like throughout the entirety of the weekend. I wouldn't mind, though, if honestly, I would just like a shift back and forth for the rest of the summer. Let's go 90 for a full week. Then let's go to 67 and breezy. Then let's go to 90. Then let's go back. Let's just do that.
And all the parents are upset that their kids will be sick because of the weather change. Back and forth.
Well, it's not that drastic.
That's the other thing.
I just want to know what the weather's going to be like at 6 o'clock Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
I think Thursday.
The rest of the day, I could care less.
Probably like 64 degrees and a slight breeze. Overhanging clouds.
Those are the two. Thank you, Hal.
You're very welcome.
Those are the two. So that's the only time slot for Nebraska baseball and Omaha baseball.
Wind blowing in off Lake Zurinsky.
So Evan Bland will stop by at 8:30. Now, this is one I'm excited for. I've known him for a long time, and I don't think I've ever been on a radio show with him. Nate Rohr, voice of Nebraska softball.
He's having fun.
He's having fun, and you know what? If people that know Nate, and Nate is the PA voice at Memorial Stadium and does so many other things on the Husker Sports Network and works the morning show at our sister station in Lincoln, KLIN Broadcast House. Nate has such a passion for softball.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is like the one thing I truly appreciate, not only just their friendship, but their passion for the sport they call. Matt Coatney with women's basketball and Nate Rohr with softball. And to have Nate experience this weekend down in Louisiana and to get to experience what will be a banger of an atmosphere in Knoxville coming up on Friday, Saturday, and potentially on Sunday. I'm happy for him, and he will join us coming up at 9:15. That's the lineup brought to you by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. So now we talk Nebraska softball.
Heyo.
For the first time in a decade plus, they're going back to the Supers. They went back-to-back in 13-14. They were a wagon this weekend. They're just a collection of badass ladies, young ladies that swept through the LSU Regional while the Bayou Bengals went Nebraska run-ruled all three opponents that they played.
Incredible.
And as a result, the sport gets, in a sport that saw the number 1 overall seed lose last night. Texas A&M lost to number 2 seed Liberty. For the first time ever, there will not be a number 1 seed advancing to the Supers.
Wow.
So the power of 98, Nebraska and Tennessee, which should be a great Super in Knoxville, gets billing that makes our friends over at KTV so happy.
What's that?
ABC will be carrying Nebraska-Tennessee softball at 2 o'clock on Friday, 2 o'clock on Saturday. So the first 2 games of the Nebraska-Tennessee Super in softball, the power of 98, and also what will be an incredible pitching matchup between the two in the circle, the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year, and Player of the Year, and the SEC Player and Pitcher of the Year. ABC says, you know what? Women's sports, banging. We're going to put it in a great slot. So KTV, the sales reps, the GM, they are running up and down the halls high-fiving because they get Nebraska softball on Friday afternoon, preempting Guiding Light, and then on Saturday, preempting whatever they would be showing, like a UFL game or something.
How late were you up last night?
I stayed up to watch the end of the Texas A&M Liberty because I wanted to see just meltdown in College Station. Baseball is not going anywhere. Football, men's basketball, softball, they pour all this money in Texas A&M. They're like the Toronto Maple Leafs of the college athletics.
That's a great way of putting it.
They're a tortured fan base.
But they're always going to show up, and you're always going to think it's their year.
I love watching softball on TV. So I watched the Oregon-Stanford, and Oregon held on to win.
That's fun to call too. I've called a lot of college softball in my life, and it moves. It's
nonstop. You can put games in about a 2-hour window. That's a sport that I think has started to thrive when it comes to TV ratings and more exposure. And it's one of those sports that probably you wouldn't think about putting it on the chopping block as college athletics change. And definitely you would not chop off Nebraska softball. What a weekend.
What an incredible weekend. But I stayed up. The reason why I ask you is I stayed up late enough to watch the nightcap of Sports Center yesterday. And I was up a little bit later than usual. And they have a night segment called By the Numbers, where they just break down one individual
screaming numbers.
And they give you all the numbers and all the incredible things that they've done over the weekend. And Jordy Ball was the By the Numbers segment on the nightcap of ESPN. And I think it's like a 2-minute segment of just breaking down, like she was on for a while, just all her swings, all the incredible things that she did. And I just think it's absolutely incredible considering the weekend that we had. 2 Game 7s, a major golf tournament, multiple races, a college baseball, women's softball, like all the things that we had. And the fact that a Nebraska athlete was given that platform and given that kind of shining moment on ESPN, it just goes to show that she's the best damn player in all softball right now.
I think
it's clear in a mile.
I think it's huge that Nebraska Tennessee softball is on ABC. Now, ABC has started to dabble with more women's sports, whether it be the WNBA, which they featured on Saturday, and then college sports. I mean, they are putting women's college sports in prime areas. But look, it's Memorial Day weekend. People are going to the beach. It's time for the summer to begin. You got Friday at 2. You got 2 major brands. You got Jordy Ball, who is a household name across softball. And amazingly, and this is what I can really appreciate. We're going to talk a lot of Nebraska softball today because it's not just her, by the way. But one thing I can appreciate, and Nate can touch on this a little bit more when he joins us at 9:15. Because of the success of Jordy Ball, it has opened the door for people to go, whoa, okay, Anna Kuzak, Sammy Bland, others, Rhonda Revelle, at the end of her career when it was almost over, where people wanted to push her out the door and they were throwing allegations at her. She is finishing her Hall of Fame career on a high note. So it's not just the Jordy show. Yeah, that's a lot of it.
Sure.
But it has opened the door to people to see more about this program. But here's the thing about Jordy is when your best player is your hardest worker and somebody who doesn't care about the accolades that she is just racking up, it seems like game after game, you are cooking with peanut oil. And that's what this team has. And that's who Jordy Ball is. She's the hardest worker on the team, and she's the best player. You combine those, and also somebody that, so what if I have 23 homers, 67 RBIs, and this weekend I went 5 for 5, 4 of them were home runs, and then I went 12 innings pitched, I struck out 16. I don't care. You know what? We're still playing on the second week of the NCAA tournament. You have something special there, and that's what more and more people are starting to see.
She's not a nonchalant greatness. It is a running around the bases, screaming as loud as you can, screaming even louder when another team of yours hits a home run. It's like she's more than just a superstar. She's a team player. And I think that she's going to get a ton of attention. Nebraska is going to get a ton of attention, and both deserve it because she's absolutely incredible. And that school has done an incredible job of propping up women's athletes. And so to have a woman's athlete that is on the level that she is and hopefully only rising as they continue, hopefully, to win, it's an absolutely It's an incredible thing happening in women's sports, and it's like it's great to see that it started in its roots here in Nebraska, that you saw kind of building, and we saw it even happen before the season began, and now it's like the fruits are coming to labor here with just the incredible postseason run they've started with.
And there's another part of what she's doing, because it's not like we've come along. You and I have been talking about her for a while.
Sure.
I've been talking about her since she was in high school, and even what she was doing at Oklahoma. Is there's a lot of, okay, is she the best blank? And comparing male and female athletes at Nebraska. When it's all said and done and the career ends, which you got another year, which, man, if I'm in charge, if I'm in a power chair and I'm in charge of Nebraska softball, I'm looking at every nook and cranny at Bowling Stadium where I can add seats for next year off the heels of what's going on right now, and knowing I have 98 back.
They're bringing back the supporting cast as well. Like a lot of, like, they strategically, and we had Luke Mullen on, who was great on the show, talked about how when they brought in transfers this year, they brought in a lot of them knowing, hey, we're going to get a lot of them back next season as well to bring back that team to build on the success. So it's not just her. Yep. It's like you're bringing back a lot of pieces, period, in a story. I say, and earmuffs everyone, in terms of Division I transfers to Nebraska, Scott Frost is number one. No, sure.
He won a national championship as a quarterback. So why I bring Jordy into the conversation is she's doing it on the big stage.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the greatest stage in the sport to do things on. And she was the pitcher of the year and the player of the year. But this is where more and more people pay attention. Mm-hmm. Now, people in the sport know her impact from Norman to Lincoln. But in terms of, like, if you want to get into, she's the best I've ever seen, or the best transfer, or whatever, what do they do now? What do they do in the tournament? And that elevates her. And I think that's even more, but as good as she is, I want to reiterate this, and I hope Nate goes more into this. It's not just her.
Yeah.
And they have a team built that is not just 98 and pray for rain. They were 98 and, oh, by the way, we can get to the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City next week.
How many times have we seen, especially in pro sports, more so than college sports, that you have a superstar and yet you can't build a team around them?
Yep.
Like, especially in the sport of softball / baseball adjacent, where you can't just have one player be great and then the 11, the rest of the 11 players who are contributing, 12 players who are contributing are just meh, right? They have done an incredible job, and credit to Rhonda Revelle and her staff for not only getting Jordy and securing Jordy, but then making sure, hey, we have one shot, right? Because it's one thing to have a generational talent, but it's another thing to recognize it and cash in on it. There are plenty of programs and just franchises who have it, and they're not able to cash in.
And it kind of
they've cashed in.
Isn't it kind of like the NBA now? Like, you can't just have one player on the NBA. Like, the teams that are playing, the four that are left, have like 2 or 3 really, they have a superstar, but they have 2 or 3 really, really good players.
Well, it's not even just 2 or 3 really good players. It's then having 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 just being good, being solid. It's because we've seen, in the NBA, the whole, we're going to have 3 megastars and then everybody else is going to be meh. That has failed, right?
Yep.
In just baseball, we've seen it forever. Think of the superstars who haven't been able to win, right? Mike Trout, Ken Griffey Jr. Like, there are generational, Shohei Ohtani before he got to LA. Like, there are generational talents across sports who just, there are teams that are unable to build around them and take their greatness and turn it into wins. Nebraska softball has been able to do that. They've taken a generational talent, they've cashed in, finding other great talent around her, and now they have an incredible opportunity to play Tennessee and go to the College World Series.
I'm telling you, it's huge. They got the best billing of the super regionals,
and they got
2 games on ABC at, like, decent times. Like, hey, we'd all like to go, hey, we'd like to be in prime time. They're playing at 2:00 Central Time on a Friday afternoon and Saturday.
And no one will be working then anyway, so they can enjoy it.
ABC is smart. They're going to have a great pitching matchup.
Yeah.
They have somebody who is probably one of the bigger names in the sport, and they know 2 fan bases that you could put them on at 1 a.m. and people would watch. But to get that billing for your super regional to be on ABC for your first 2 games, and TBD if they do need an if necessary game on Sunday, that is huge for softball, but I mean, even more so for Nebraska softball. And 98 is a big reason.
I think people wanted Tennessee to lose so they wouldn't have to play in the super regional.
They could get a home super regional potentially.
Well, I actually think it's great that Tennessee didn't lose. I think it's great that they get to play Tennessee, that they get to play that brand, that they get to play that team, and also too, you definitely don't want to do the whole like, well, they dodged all of the hard teams. Are they really that good? They didn't have to play LSU. They didn't have to play Tennessee. Do they really deserve to be there? No. We're going to play a massive brand. We're going to get a ton of eyes. We're going to play a damn good SEC softball team. And then when they win, if they win, they go, look what we did. We beat the best to get here. You can't deny that we are one of the best teams in the country. So I know that a lot of people are like, man, I hope Tennessee doesn't make it out of the regional, and you get the Bowling Stadium. I think it's great. I think it's great that Tennessee.
I was rooting for that. Ohio State once again let Nebraska down.
What's with these?
Because don't you want it at Bowling? Wouldn't you like that opportunity to be hosting?
It would have
super at home.
I mean, yeah, you definitely prefer that. Like you prefer to do that. But in terms of like, I'm glad that Nebraska gets to play the best teams and gets the most attention possible, because if we're talking just a pure eye standpoint, the most guys are going to be on Tennessee versus Nebraska, and that's going to be great, not only just for Jordy, for the athletic department. Isn't it funny with the intra-sport or cross-sport rivals where Trev goes to Texas A&M and then Nebraska basketball ends up playing Texas A&M in the tournament, and then you have the drama with football in Tennessee canceling the games. He said, she said, they didn't want to do this. All the fans going crazy about not playing tennis. Well, I don't know, but it's funny. It's just funny that that thing happened in football, and then all of a sudden the next playoff game that's played for Nebraska is played against Tennessee. That's the second time that's happened now.
It would not. So it's not only going to be Jordy Ball, but get to know Carlin Pickens, who is the pitcher for Tennessee, who has thrown the fastest pitch in the history of NCAA softball at 78 miles an hour. So that's what you have as a matchup this weekend. So I can see why ABC was all over that. Again, Nate Rohr is going to join us coming up at 9:15. Also, Omaha softball this weekend, their season came to an end down in Norman, but for the third straight year as a 3 seed, they won one game. And as long as Mike Hurd is the head coach, that program's going to be fine. As long as the combination of Joe, Chancellor, Joanne Lee, and Adrian Dow, Omaha Athletics had a really, really good year. They're not done. They have baseball that's playing in the Summer League tournament. But as long as that combo is together, Omaha Athletics is going to be fine. But another stellar season for Omaha softball in a softball state until tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then we become a baseball state with the Big Ten here.
We're an everything state.
We are an everything state, which, speaking of the Big Ten baseball, been very outspoken about. They take us for
a ride.
No, they take advantage of our passion for the sport and the GBRs.
Man, they got lucky.
I was driving. They did. They got lucky for the Omaha crowd. Like you're not going to travel. You play on Tuesday and you don't play till Friday. You're not going to travel from outstate.
Sure.
But I saw a billboard, an actual billboard, a digital billboard on 80 at about 84th Street Friday night that was advertising the Big Ten baseball tournament.
Wow. Probably a little too late.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
I'm glad it happened 4 days before your tournament and you decided to finally tell people about it.
Small victories. Small victories. All right, we're off and running. Glad to have you in. You can always join the conversation about the weekend in sports, from the inevitable at Quail Hollow, from jail to quail, there's Scotty Scheffler. Also, the pro sports, the horse racing, going to the whip, and the baseball that could have Creighton already in the NCAA field of 64. You can always join us on the Prairie Flower Casino hotline, 402-951-1620. We'll do all that as we roll till 10. Jimmy's back, Matt's back, Gary's back on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in on a Monday. Short week. Summer begins on Friday.
I don't know. This is so weird. This is going to be my first
summer?
No, non-summer. Because I've always had a summer. I've always had a full hey.
Now you're an adult.
Yes.
You're not a teacher anymore.
Yeah. No, exactly.
It's nice. What? We don't take off.
So my mother is a teacher, and so that was she would be off and I would be off, and it would be summer camps every year of my life. It would be absolutely incredible. This is the first time where I'm not just going to be able to sleep in every single day of June and July, and then August comes and I'm going to be oh my God, I hate August because we're 2 weeks away from school. Because and then even last summer, I was a part-timer, so it was I was didn't really count anyway,
Welcome to adulthood.
The world's smallest violin.
Welcome. We're glad to have you.
Summer is just a change in weather, not a change in schedule anymore, and it's going to be really, really weird. But I can't wait for it. I'm going to be working with you. I'm going to be working with Jimmy.
Do you know what they call a Monday in July?
Hot
Monday.
Yeah.
Get your ass out of bed and go to work.
If you are just waking up this morning and you're wondering, should I go to Knoxville? Hell yeah, you should.
Yeah, why not?
Nice place.
It looked, I was watching the Tennessee-Ohio State game yesterday, and the Tennessee uniforms, the Lady Vols, they still call them the Lady. They are not the Vols. They are the Lady Vols down in Knoxville, but they had the powder blue with the orange.
Oh.
Pretty good-looking uniform.
Okay.
Now that's where Nebraska is going. Look like they have a very unique crowd. They did some cosplay, it looked like, in the stands. So Nebraska fans that are in the South that are thinking about traveling to Knoxville, plan accordingly. It looks like it's a cosplay furry convention in the stands in Knoxville. But ABC Friday and Saturday. That is mammoth for Nebraska softball and our good friends at KTV.
I'm not a fan of the powder blues for Tennessee.
Kind of liked them.
I don't. And the reason, and it has different reasons, though. I think they're good looking. I think they're a good looking jersey. I agree with you in that regard. I just hate that everybody and their mother now has to have powder blue or baby blue or royal blue.
You would have hated the 70s in baseball.
I mean, it's just ridiculous, though. The Tennessee Volunteers are an orange team. It's the Power T. It's an orange school. It's an orange state. Where the hell has blue
it
been?
is an alternative uniform, though, right? I think
it has to be an alternative.
And
uniform.
Lady Vol Athletics has incorporated blue since the beginning.
It goes back to this. They're wearing alternative uniforms in the playoffs. Can we stop wearing alternative uniforms in the playoffs? Can we stop all using baby blue? Thank you.
Well, what if you were playing 2 games? You don't want to wear the same
stinky.
uniform.
Sure.
I don't know if they wore them on Friday or Saturday.
And just everybody in
So
their
you're
mother.
out on the new Smurfs movie then?
No, the Smurfs are blue.
We made another one?
Yeah,
There's
I
a
saw
new
that
one coming out.
during
Yeah,
my
yeah.
time watching lots of
Really?
TV.
Was there clamoring for a new
That's
Smurf
exactly
movie?
what I said.
I got a question for you, Gary. Is there a clamoring for any of these things that come out nowadays?
Mission Impossible, Friday it comes out.
It's once again.
Dad's pumped.
Tom Cruise started making those movies when he was 34, and now he's 62.
Everything good is now just a repeat of what we've had. It's just the continuation sequel of things that were great 20 years ago. We still have Fast and Furious movies. We still have Ocean's remakes. We're remaking everything in their. It's crazy. We're doing spin-offs of Creed. We can't make anything new. And then we're gonna make another Smurfs movie. Are they making another Despicable Me movie or something like that too?
Of course, kids love it.
We need new things. We need something new, something fresh.
We got new things. We got Nebraska softball.
I was excited for
Super. We have Nebraska baseball playing in a pool.
Here.
In a pool.
Swim town.
Marco!
In a pool. All right, here is Andrew on the Prairie Flower Casino hotline. Good Monday. Oh, good Monday. Oh,
Drew!
Hey, we got to fix that. Oh, my God.
Lord. No, hang up.
It's just like storm chasers.
Hey, hold on, Andrew. Speak slowly.
Okay, Matt, I agree with you. All this ripping off old stuff and redoing it has to stop.
It has to stop, Andrew. It's crazy.
Once again, when I grew up playing sports, I had a away uniform and a home uniform. That's all you need.
Thank you.
That's all you need.
Look at you and me, just seeing eye to
And
eye.
also, when they play a TD Ameritrade or whatever it's called nowadays,
Charles Schwab.
Downtown Day
in
Trader.
SFC College World Series, it looks awful because it's half empty. And why don't they think about using Storm Chasers field. At least that would look a little more packed. And also, I had the chance to watch my favorite movie of all time, which we all know what it is.
Little Women?
And can you tell me a movie that has, from actor A to actor Z, that has the best acting in a movie? Everybody in that movie was top notch. Can you find another movie that all the actors were on that level?
Probably Shawshank Redemption.
I don't know about that. Maybe.
I think that's a good
Maybe.
choice.
Okay.
And also, another question.
Okay.
So they're not building these baseball fields down by TD Ameritrade, right?
Say that again?
Yeah.
They're not building these baseball stadiums by TD Ameritrade, right?
Creighton is building a practice facility, yes.
Yeah, so it won't actually be a stadium where they play games.
No, I think there will not. I think they will put 500 seats in, but they will still play all of their games at the downtown Day Trader.
That just looks awful. God.
Yep.
There's nobody there. It looks awful.
Yep.
And another thing, too, since I'm on my soapbox.
Go ahead.
Yeah. While you're at it.
How can you recruit? Like, if you're going to say, okay, we're recruiting you to play baseball, you're going to play a stadium that's the 1/8 full capacity. That's not attractive. Why don't they make a little homey environment where they can pack them in, and it looks like it's crowded, but it's really not because it's just a smaller stadium. It's not a good stuff.
I'm with you, Andrew. Thanks for the phone call. Good luck as we transition into summer. Please get a new phone now that school's out.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to ask him if he saw a lowering of the funnel.
This is an Omaha hockey thing as well. And granted, Creighton could not play anymore on the parking lot because of the legality and stuff like that. But they can practice there. But you can't pick somebody up at the airport. Mike Kemp told me this. When Omaha hockey was playing at the Civic, and the Civic Auditorium was a great atmosphere. I think the Civic Auditorium is the best atmosphere that Omaha hockey has ever been in. And I like Baxter Arena, but the Civic was special. You can't pick somebody up at the airport and drive them by CHI or the Chuck and go, hey, look at that. We don't play there. We play here.
Yeah.
So for Omaha, when they moved into the Clink, that was the transition, and it took away from the atmosphere. Now they have their own. For Omaha, for Creighton, they have the home of the College World Series, which is a selling point. Yes, it's way too big for Creighton the entire season. I mean, an ideal stadium would be about 7,000 to 8,000 for Creighton, but they don't have a place to play because they are getting so. Creighton softball is transitioning to a beautiful place. Creighton baseball will have a practice facility. It will not. I thought it was going to be initially a new ballpark. It is not. Maybe some pressure about the way that it went through the state, and that, hey, why are we in the public supporting a private school and they're giving them public money for? So that got scaled down a little bit. So they'll have a beautiful practice facility, but they're still going to play at home. They're still going to play, or I guess they're going to play at the home of the College World Series, which, it's a selling point, but in terms of an atmosphere, no, way too many empty seats. And I don't know if they would ever be interested in doing what the Royals did back in the day at Rosenblatt, where they tarped off seats. I don't know if we'd get to that point, but it is what it is.
It's tough, though, because...
And they're 38-14 playing in that facility this year.
It's not just like a Creighton thing, though. It's a college baseball thing outside of the SEC, where it's how many stadiums are consistently being sold out anyway, even if you go to a 7,000 to 8,000 person stadium. Like, you're still, probably half that stadium most of the time is still going to be empty, even if you go to that. And that's just not a Creighton thing. That's just a college baseball thing in general. And
that's
so
like
when you have a facility that's as nice as that, and then you're weighing whether or not should we invest in having a smaller stadium for a better atmosphere. I think that you still kind of just go with, man, yeah, it sucks that the atmosphere isn't as great, but we have this really, really nice field to continue to play on it.
See, it'll be like the transition from Ed, and again, this is the last year. They go out with a co-Big East title. They get the number 1 seed. Yeah. They have a really good chance, as long as they don't lose on Wednesday to St. John's. I think if they win on Wednesday against St. John's, Creighton is into the NCAA tournament. They might be the last 4 in. They don't have any quad 1 wins or games played, which is wild. But win on Wednesday, my opinion, they're in. And because of their pitching, I believe they have a chance to at least win a game. And who knows what, we just saw Liberty go into College Station in softball. I know softball to baseball, but still,
we saw Southeastern kick LSU's butt.
But you look at, from the standpoint of that facility, is that still a draw to get people to come and play you that are name-worthy, that will help you in a conference that hasn't had 3 bids since 2011 but could get 2 this year? We already kind of know. I've said I think it's in the works to have Creighton play at Miami next year. Mark Kingston comes in and says, we're not just going to schedule for wins, we're going to schedule for RPI, so that if we're in a situation where we're on the bubble, at least we have a nice non-con schedule.
You have quad 1 wins that you can point to.
But is it still a draw for people, hey, let's go to Omaha and let's play Omaha or Nebraska, and let's stop off and play at the home of the College World Series, because we might be back here in June and we'd like to see what it is like to play there. That used to be a selling point. I don't know if that is as much anymore.
Yeah, why has that pulled off, you think? That teams don't want to make the trip out to Omaha, or it's too much of a travel, and the budget's like, what's the?
I don't know what the deal is.
I would imagine. They've had a couple
of teams come through here. But even if Arkansas back in the day was like, hey, we're going to play here in June, so let's go in March and play.
But even if you aren't a team that necessarily is going to be like, oh, we might be back here in X amount of months, we want to see what it's like. Wouldn't you just want to go and play at the home of the College World Series? To say that you played at the home of the College World Series could be like, hey, we gave our players that opportunity. Granted, it wasn't during the CWS, but it was still an experience that they had. I know plenty of college baseball players that would love. I think so.
See, I think it would be, you've been in that ballpark, right?
Yeah.
You've never been to the College World Series?
I have. I've been twice.
So there isn't more a drastic difference.
Oh my God. Couldn't be more.
So I don't know.
But it's like more, Rosenblatt, it's a field thing,
Rosenblatt was unique. Like Rosenblatt was such a erector set that it was quirky, that if you went and played there, and Creighton wouldn't have, they weren't playing big time non-con games back in the day. They would play like Wichita State and Nebraska there, but people would. I don't hear this. Yeah. This is what I hear. You would have people that would be driving by on 80, and they would get off to go tour Rosenblatt when it was empty, and it was like, whoa. You don't hear that about the downtown one, because it's a cookie cutter, and there's nothing special about it until 10 days in June, when it is the best place to be for baseball.
Do you know what you just described? Aura. Rosenblatt had aura. It had a mystique. It had they talk about when you step in like the hollowed walls, you could feel the memories, you could see the players, you could feel the moments. You can't, I couldn't agree more. You can't do that over there. Right. And it is because it's cookie cutter. It is because it's kind of bland. It is kind of because this is a lot like there are a lot of stadiums that kind of look like this. And there are a lot of plays that have happened in stadiums that look like this. Rosenblatt, at least from, because I wasn't around when it was there, but at least from you hear it and you're watching it on TV, and I watched it on TV. It had that magic. This doesn't.
It was the ballpark on the hill.
Yeah.
This is a ballpark in North Omaha.
It's
North downtown
It's
Omaha.
kind of just it's a ballpark. And it hosts an incredibly important event. Yeah. And the city of Omaha does an incredible job of putting on that event. And people go to the event, and it's awesome. And it's incredible. But the ballpark itself, it's just it just has baseball.
And it'll be the same for the Big Ten baseball tournament this weekend.
Yes.
And the only difference will be that Nebraska playing, they will draw a larger crowd than they're used to. I would say on average, if Creighton is bringing in 4,000 on average, now they're going to have some games where they get 7 to 8.
Yeah.
But if they're bringing in 4,000, I think that's a good number. But this weekend, the people that are playing at 10 a.m. tomorrow Are they going to be like, whoa, this is the home of the College World Series? No, they're going to be playing before 25,000 empty seats. That venue, when it's packed, there's nothing better. But when it's not, it's tough. Because it's not also like the field is like, oh my God, an immaculate shape. And you're like, oh, I stepped foot on this field.
Like
and
UCLA
I feel like I'm in
the
the
Rose
field
Bowl.
of dreams.
It's not like carpet. It's not like sponge. Well, and it's also too like there is a difference. I guess when you what my comparison was, right? Like, oh, we get to say we played at the College World Series, right? You just get to kind of offhand mention, hey, yeah, I played at Charles Schwab Field to host the College World Series. That's pretty cool. I imagine when people played at Rosenblatt, it was a little bit more deeper. It was a little bit more like, yeah, I played at Rosenblatt, man. That was really, really cool.
And it might have gone to a whole nother level, but Creighton didn't play a lot of games at Rosenblatt back in the day. It was usually a Wichita State series or game, and then the Nebraska, at least one game would be there, and then they had a great home field advantage playing on campus on the parking lot.
Yeah,
I mean, you hit a fly ball that bounces in the middle of center field, and the next thing you know, it's on Cumming Street. I mean, it was a great advantage. You were not going to give that up.
No,
and it just part of this whole discussion, because this will intensify, and I think we're starting to accept that ballpark is the home of the College World Series, and what they've tried to do around it will always have a special place for Rosenblatt. But Rosenblatt was unique. Rosenblatt was neighborhood. Downtown is corporate. And that's the big difference. And I even think transitioning that into how players look at it or coaches look at it, if you've been around for a while, neighborhood compared to corporate. You still get a lot of the amenities are incredible downtown. I mean, so much better than you had at Rosenblatt and what you're playing in.
But those bleachers at Rosenblatt on a night game, I was so thankful to go there once.
It's the uniqueness. It's the uniqueness that we have in Omaha of a facility that was attached to an event. And Rosenblatt Stadium was the College World Series.
I just don't know what you do to this current stadium to make it that way. I don't
think you can, because I don't think Omaha can. Like that's the NCAA stadium that Omaha gets to rent out. Because if Omaha was able to put their signature on it, that there would be quirks. There would be cool. difference.
But what if they did add a couple of quirks? What if they did add a little, add some? Well, see, I wouldn't.
Putting up a scoreboard in the hole in the light tower in left field. This is coming.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you what to put up or what to honor the city or what to make it quirky or make it different. But I imagine that there could be something, or there could be I don't know, decorations, or like I'm being serious. Like, add something weird where you're like, yeah, that thing just sits there in left field. We don't know why. Oh, it honors this thing in Omaha. Okay, that's cool. And then it becomes Omaha.
Streetcar.
I just imagine that you can maybe add a couple of things to make it more of Omaha.
At the end of the day, to add a quirk,
put a statue of Warren Buffett out there.
The ballpark would have shifted, where the entire ballpark looks into downtown Omaha, not just the upper deck and left field, which is a great view of downtown Omaha, but the view at the current ballpark is of the tornado shelter, and then in the distance, the Bob Carey pedestrian bridge.
It just seems like making that stadium a little bit more homey and a little bit more.
I'm in lockstep. I've been saying that since I moved back here.
It just seems like it's something that I wouldn't mind if they tried. I don't know if you can do it. I don't know if you can do it.
The time was 15 years ago.
Hey,
I wish you could try.
Unless the new mayor is like, hey now.
I missed that too.
Hey now.
Everything happened while
it was
gone.
a heated race.
Hey now. NCAA. We're gonna have to talk about an extension, but I'd like to do a couple of things around the ballpark. I don't think you can.
Yeah.
It's the NCAA stadium. We rent it out. We get it for 20 to 30 days a year.
It's disappointing. It's kind of disappointing.
Microcosm
of
life.
What it is. Yeah.
Save those discussions for the College World Series, which will be here before you know it.
Can't wait. It's gonna be fun.
I can't wait, because we could have an SEC Invitational. We could have a little bit of, buddy.
We need one weird team though, like one out of nowhere.
What
team.
if that's Oregon?
No. I mean,
I would be for Oregon.
No,
Big Ten.
I'm talking mid-major.
Big Ten.
I'm talking mid-major.
Oh,
I'm talking the Mavs, baby. I'm talking maybe someone from the Missouri Valley.
With Omaha baseball, let's just win Wednesday night, okay? Against North Dakota State. The last couple of games have been a little bit rough. Let's just get one.
I'm just saying.
Let's get one.
I just want a Cinderella, all right?
Oh, we did have ORU a couple of years ago.
Hey, I wouldn't mind a part 2.
Yeah, they're number 1 seed. They're not as good as they were, but they still won.
Don't tell our friend that.
I think he knows.
Yeah, I think he knows too.
All right, hour in the books. When we come back, we'll find out how Jimmy passed a kidney stone. And,
riveting stuff.
And more. Nebraska, Tennessee are on ABC Friday and Saturday afternoon. But we get Creighton. I say win on Wednesday. You're in. A lot of people are starting to agree. Nebraska, 4-0.
Playing in the pool.
Off and running on a Monday after a busy sports weekend. Scary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, well, we talk baseball, softball, wrapping up the college season. We are 96 days away from You know what?
Would you rather have the weekend we just had with all those different sports or one day of football?
Football. Because the game
I'll
7
give you,
sucked.
I'll give you
Man,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll give you Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then
we had a couple game 7s that were duds.
As opposed to just one
Scheffler
day of football.
Who ran away.
We have college.
Well, can I
we
pick,
have college football days that are duds too.
Can I pick my college football day, or is this going to be like week 2 of the college?
You
week
get
2
or
is actually
Cupcake Saturday in the SEC.
When is usually the bad?
The bad one's 3. 2's the banger.
So week 3 of the college football season, where the slate could be kind of before you go to conference.
It could go either way. It could be really good. It could be really bad.
I would take this past weekend over week 3 of the college football season. There was variety. There was a major in golf. There was the second jewel of the Triple Crown.
If you gave me like the best week of college football, I would take that day. I would take that day over this whole weekend.
Every day.
If you gave me the best, week,
I would take a mids.
There's not going to be a better week than this for a while.
Wow.
It's going to be, it's like, there really isn't going to be a better sport. You're not going to have a big race, 2 big races in NASCAR and in the Preakness. Then you had a major golf tournament. Then you had 2 game 7s. Then, at least for the Nebraska population, we had a electrifying softball team that was in the playoffs that we could watch. You're not going to have as like the variety and competitiveness like this for a while. It's kind of, I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news or sad, but like soak it in and enjoy it while you had it.
Sounds like he's on teacher mode over here. Welcome to the summer.
I'm just telling you.
What's it like transitioning to being an adult? It appears to be kind of tough for you.
Wait till that beautiful 87-degree day.
Are you trying to say something? Have I put on weight? Do I look a little bit older? Am I aging like the president? Here, look at my hair. I am losing hair. I mean, it is going away.
Once again, going to be met on deaf ears in this building. A lot of us are in a lot worse shape with our hair.
Sorry.
Yeah. What is it like? What is it like transitioning to being an adult? I'll tell you this.
Because you got to get up every morning. You got a job. You get paid. You got bills.
So
you got responsibility.
So thanks, Gary.
Your body betrays you.
Waking up and working in the morning has never been a problem.
Okay.
I've always been a morning person.
That's true. That's true. You are a hard worker.
You don't come in like a zombie. I will say I've never once seen you come in like a zombie.
So and like
except when you had the plague.
That was tough. But
I'm sure it was.
That was
he had kidney stones.
Yeah, I know. He won.
Died.
Am I gonna have to get a really, really bad sickness in order to one up you?
Yeah.
Dang it.
Could you acquire something?
I'm not gonna make that
a venereal disease or something.
Would shingles be greater than kidney stones?
I've heard they're very bad. Terry Bradshaw.
See how you can get.
Is this like a poker ranking? Like what diseases are greater in terms of like the excuses and pain
this should go
have
well.
over your employee? Anyway, regardless, man, the bills keep coming in. The bill, like it's almost like every other day.
Crazy, they're favored in all 17 games according to Vegas. Continue.
New stadium next year.
Like my bills I have to pay, not the bills that choke in the playoffs. Like it's every other day. It's like, oh, here's this $21 purchase you have to make for NFM. Oh, hey, Conservice wants you to pay the water and utility. Oh, here's the OPPD. You got to pay your electric bill. It's like every other day. It's like, oh, I didn't know I had to pay this.
When we go to break, let me show you my urgent care bill from Columbus.
Well, that's another thing too, where it's like
your pictures.
It's another thing.
You should see the putting green I was on.
I know that I have to get my oil changed, and then like there's a purchase that I have to make there, and then it's like then.
Do you need new wipers?
I do need new wipers.
We have rain this week.
I'm gonna have to get new wipers. I'm being serious,
you have good tires,
guys. I have good tires.
You could be Texas A&M Athletics.
I mean, there's just so much to pay for.
Well, they have the money to pay for all of it there.
But they're pouring a lot of money. The Colt is pouring a lot of money into athletics, and they are.
Unfortunately, like them, I don't have a glory hole. I don't have a hole of oil that I could just drill and make a ton of money out of.
Thank you.
And this is why I wanted to be at work. This is why I didn't want to stay home.
Because I had a follow-up there, but
you're the one who brought it. You're the one who brought the glory holes.
How did I bring it up? When did I bring up
4 months ago when you started watching Landman, you were like
4 months ago. I remember 4 days ago.
Guys, I really want a glory hole.
I could be sitting with Billy Bob at the Patch, drinking a Mick Ultra.
Well, it doesn't
talking
count.
about the glory hole.
Gave up drinking. What are you doing there? Oh, it's a Mick Ultra.
Yeah.
It doesn't count.
It's water. Okay, so 96 days from the start of the season.
8:00 game. I saw that in the email. I was going, oh, it's going to be fun.
That's right. He's growing up and you're catching up. I'm just the man in the middle. I'm like Malcolm.
Or Michael Jackson.
I saw Malcolm on Saturday before the
Man
horses.
in the Mirror. Never mind. It sounds like the man in the middle when he sings a song. It does sound like it. Like the Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Musa. It sounds like I'm going to say
How about that
Biden
diagnosis?
Looks grim, but he rocks a pair of sunglasses.
How the hell did we transition to that?
Because I'm transitioning out of this conversation. So 96 days to the start of college football. Let's see here. Sean has tweeted a picture. I believe that's Thomas Lott that Jimmy Williams is sacking. Jimmy Williams, the toughest interview ever on the Coaches Show on the network. He just doesn't talk.
That's a prerequisite.
That's a tough one.
It was extremely difficult. Let's see. You could go George Andrews.
96.
Jim Scow, I think, wore 96. But let's go a little bit closer to home and over to 87 the Pacific. Steve Warren. Son Braylon is a junior at Westside, quarterback getting Power 4 offers. That's a nice little defensive collection of 96s.
Oh, Zach Pickens. Where's 96? For those who don't know. That's the only 96 I can come up with.
Coming up a little bit later.
I can't. Can I tell you something right now? Let me just get ahead of this. We're going to do this all summer, right? Well, we're going to count down 94, 93, 92.
Yes.
And you're going to tell, you are going to name players with that number. I could not be worse at numbers with players. Okay.
Research.
I know people because I know people
now these are Nebraska players that I've rattled off.
No, I know. Yeah. But I'm just saying,
not
even in general,
Dallas Cowboys, Shante Carver.
I'm just saying, even in general, when we talk about like players with former numbers across all sports, I am awful. I am terrible. I will go years watching a player and be like, I think this guy's number is that. I don't pay attention to it.
Now, tomorrow you'll be on point.
95?
Yeah. That should be for your favorite football team, that should be an obvious.
Yes.
Okay. There you go. So you're prepared.
Yeah, in that regard, yeah. But like if you told me to name another 95 in the NFL, and you know how much I love the NFL, how much I watch, I couldn't tell you.
Jeez.
No, Chris Jones? See, but I would never. I'm not. That's not how I operate. I don't look at the guy's number and I'm like, yep, that's his number.
Okay.
So
maybe
I'm going to be useless.
Maybe it's an old man thing.
I'm going to be useless.
That we attach numbers to players.
Spotting boards are very crucial for you in calling a game.
Incredibly.
Tackled by the big guy with the big ass and 2nd and 12.
You know, here's a funny thing too.
The Japanese kid from the corner.
Yeah.
Oh God!
Oh, bang!
What's his name?
Queso Tamagotchi.
Here's the thing, though. I did announce. People don't know this. I know you might think because of the Chicago accent and the slight lisp that I may not be a good announcer. I did a lot of announcing. Okay, I was pretty dang good. I still am pretty dang good. I had the spotting boards and everything like that. But in terms of like, I'm sitting back with a Miller Lite watching guys play. I'm not going to be like, oh, there's Minka Fitzpatrick. He's 37. I'm going to remember that. I don't really do that.
Okay.
Or at least my mind doesn't compute that. So once again, when we do this for the rest of the time before we kick off, I'm going to be useless.
We could guess the number. You want to play guess the number?
I love playing the guessing games. Yeah.
All right. Pete Crow Armstrong wears
4.
And he's going to be the MVP of the National League.
He was good over the weekend. I watched a lot of Cubs this week.
You see the cast from Reacher was filming in the stands at Wrigley Field.
So they're doing a spin-off of Reacher?
I think so.
So why?
Well,
once
no,
again,
hold on here. So that's what Boog said. I think it's the upcoming season.
I saw it was a spin-off.
But with the two main characters?
I know, right? Why would the main character be there in the spin-off?
Not like in Cheers when Frasier broke away. It's not like Sam went and I think
they opened a bar in Seattle.
I think he misspoke. I think they were filming.
I hope it's
like
regular
for the next season.
Alan Rickson, right? Rickson, so big. He is such a massive human being. Like it is ridiculous.
I've seen him on a couple of talk shows where he walks out and sits down next to hosts. monster.
He's like, he wears those overly big shirts and he still makes them look small.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. His shoulders are boulders.
They block out the sun.
They do.
What number do you think he would wear?
Oh, 95. Just think, easy. 95. 95 or...
Finch wore 99 in Wildcats.
What about Billy Bob in Friday Night Lights?
12. Was that his number? No, I don't know, man. I didn't watch Friday Night Lights.
It was a nice number.
8. 11.
It was a nice number.
69. Well, that's just say Jared Allen, you know? Come on, man. That's an easy one.
There you go.
I'll never forget Jared Allen with 69.
Evan Bland and Nate Rohr will join the show a little bit later.
Welcome back, Jimmy.
This is what I missed. Humor is the best cure.
There's been a question circulating out there about Jordy Ball transferring from Oklahoma to Nebraska and how she's a two-way player at Nebraska. And I don't know how she doesn't win the player of the year.
I don't get it. I wouldn't understand.
They haven't announced it yet, so it's not saying she hasn't.
But I wouldn't understand it if she doesn't.
I mean, she in some cases is not human.
She had 4 home runs off of 7 swings before her first at bat against Southeastern.
She's in a completely different league of her own, and we get to see her hit. So she didn't hit as much at Oklahoma because they didn't need her and they didn't ask her.
Yeah. And if you got that roster, why would you ask her?
And at Nebraska, I think part of the agreement of her moving, transferring to Nebraska is that she gets the opportunity to hit, and why not?
Yeah.
So she's being asked to hit and do both. And so she is team first. So she's going to do whatever they ask of her. Like, hey, you're going to go play first base? Yes, I'll go play first base. It shows you the impact that she has. Again, I am not stunned, but I think it's a big deal that the impact of her got Nebraska, Tennessee on ABC. Because there's a couple of other supers that are kind of intriguing and, might
you want to watch
a bit more of a history.
She's must watch.
Well, and so what happens with women's sports and national TV, we create stars.
Mm-hmm.
Stars become stars due to their results.
Yeah.
Okay. The media can help push that along, but it's not, the media doesn't create a star. The stars create themselves as results.
Yes.
And
you got to win.
And so results like a Caitlin Clark, she was on a really good team. She was doing things. And then she got the platform where people went, oh my gosh. And people outside of the Big Ten and the Iowa fan base were like, who is this? I mean, that's kind of what women's sports have become, is the stars have results and the people that follow them know. TV takes and elevates the women's sports star to another level. And then everybody knows, oh, why does she wear 98? Who is Jordy Ball?
Sure.
Wasn't she in Oklahoma City playing for OU? Yeah.
So
shout out Big 8.
If they end up going to the College World Series, I'll make a prediction. I'll predict that Jordy Ball will be in a national Gatorade commercial if they end up going to the College World Series. Okay. Because she's got another year left of eligibility. She'll be in college softball once again. She'll be by far the biggest star if they make the College World Series.
Go win a gold medal in 28.
I think with what she's done, not only just, it's not that she's like, oh, a good hitter and a good pitcher. Like the whole Shohei thing is like, Shohei's a great hitter and then he's like a pretty good pitcher. No, she is one of the best hitters in the country, period. She is a great hitter and then also one of the best pitchers in the country, period. So it's like she is the top of the food chain at both. And with how marketable she is, with just how she, brings herself off in terms of being a good teammate and a good human, if they make the College World Series, she'll be in a national Gatorade commercial because that is the type of athlete that they would want to promote. And she is the type of women's athlete with her dominance that should garner that attention. They got to win, though. It's all about winning.
Should she be the highest paid athlete on campus?
No. Should she be or will she be?
Either or.
Should she? No, but she should be top 3 easily. Will she be? Maybe if you add in endorsements and stuff like that, she could definitely raise herself to that level. They're coming. They keep winning. They're coming. Yeah. She should be, without question, top 3 paid.
Who would be your top 3 at Nebraska right now?
Harper Murray, Dylan Raiola, Jordy Ball.
Interesting that 2 of the 3 are female athletes.
I don't think it's interesting at all. I think it's par for the course. I think this is just what this is like for the athletic department, for like Nebraska sports and how much we invest and how dominant they've been. Definitely not par for the course in the country. I mean, that is rare. I mean, I don't think there's any other athletic department who would be like that for sure.
Can you imagine if she tested her value on the open market in that sport?
No, the Yankees would be all over.
She won't. But I mean, just think about her value if she was technically a free agent.
She would easily be the highest paid softball player of all time, without a doubt.
The one thing about 1890 has taken care of Nebraska softball. And remember, when we go to revenue sharing and you divide up the pie, you have football, men's basketball. You're only essentially going to have about 4 or 5 sports that are going to get paid straight out of the rev share.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have, what are you going to do with Nebraska volleyball?
What are you going to do with wrestling?
Mm-hmm. What are you going to do with baseball?
What are you going to do with
What are you going to do with softball?
Yeah.
So, 1890, before things kick in the middle of summer, at least we think that's going to happen. They've done well with softball.
They've taken care of women's sports. I'm sure that Harper Murray and Bergen Riley and Andy Jackson there have been teams who I'm sure have been interested in some sort of way, shape, or form of maybe plucking them from Nebraska, and they've been able to keep that core, right? And they've been able to be happy. So, you haven't seen a lot of massive superstar transfers out of Nebraska women's sports. And so credit to 1890 and the work they've done there.
All right. Again, Evan Bland will join us a little bit later. Nebraska opens up tomorrow night against Michigan State at 6 in the Big Ten tournament, which starts in this fine town tomorrow at 10 a.m. You can look at the bracket. You can try and make sense of it. We tried to make sense of it last week. It kind of makes sense, kind of doesn't make sense. If you had a good regular season, it's a great bracket. If you're Oregon, you might play 4 days in a row. The bottom line is Nebraska has to go 4-0. Whoever they're playing, whenever they're playing, however you get there, Nebraska baseball has to go 4-0. So Evan will stop by coming up at 8:30. And then Nate Rohr, the fabulous voice of Nebraska softball, he'll stop in at 9:15. How does Nebraska get to Oklahoma City? And don't tell me by driving south and get to 35 as you weave your way through Kansas, rural Kansas. Don't go to Salina and go south. Just weave your way through Kansas. Then you come out right there in Newton, right north of Wichita. You get on 35 and straight south into Oklahoma City.
Don't forget to pay the toll.
Yeah, the Southwest flight will work for me.
And if you get to Chickasha, you went too far.
We used to take that trip all the time to Stillwater and Norman, Oklahoma City. Well, especially this time of the year for Nebraska baseball in the Van Horn era. I like that trip.
I drove to Tulsa once. It was the worst trip of my life.
Tulsa's a little bit harder to get to.
That was tough. That was a lot of winding roads at night, and I got really afraid.
But Nate will join us coming up at 9:15 on Gary and Matt in 1620 The Zone. The most important asset of your home is your home. But there's also the roof. And we've had storms that rolled through here, including last night that rolled through the Omaha area. Maybe your roof is taking a beat and you're siding your gutters, and what do? Well, if you need an inspection to see what's right, what's wrong, what can be fixed, turn to the MVPs of Roofing in Omaha. Omaha Roofing Company that is focused on diagnostics, relationships, roofing technology, all of that. It is Moose Roofing. Pat Moose and his entire crew, they are the MVPs of roofing. They've been in business in the community for nearly 30 years. They just don't show up when a storm rolls into town like some storm chaser. They've got a bricks and mortar store. They're here before, during, and after the storm for you. They'll come out to your home after you schedule an inspection. They'll get to sit down and get to know you and what your issue is, and then they go to work. They get on your roof. They review all the key elements and see what they need to do. They sit down with you with a plan, and then they navigate the ever-increasingly difficult insurance claims process with your company. That's a huge deal that has become a problem. Pat Moose will even pick up the phone himself. That's what they do. They clean up after themselves because they want you to be a customer for life, and they want you to be satisfied. Residential roof repair service, commercial roofing, siding, gutters, that's what Moose Roofing does. Schedule an inspection today, 402-763-4851, or online at mooseroofing.com. All right, a couple of emails into the Equitable Bank inbox. This is from Anthony. He's right. This is shaping up. If Nebraska gets through Knoxville, by the way, Pickens pitching to Ball. Like at this past weekend, I'm like, at this point, why don't you just give her the Barry Bonds treatment? But you're going to have Carlin Pickens, who is the pitcher of the year in the SEC, fastest pitch ever in the history of NCAA softball at 78 miles an hour, pitching to Jordy Ball. Think about that. But if Nebraska makes it through Knoxville, Anthony's right. You see what the bracket is holding. The brackets hold up, and one team wins their super. Nebraska wins on the road in their super. You see what's coming. You see what's coming in Oklahoma City. That's right. Nebraska and Oklahoma are on the same side of the bracket. They would meet.
That'd be incredible.
They would be in that bracket side, bracket 2 or whatever they call it for the Women's College World Series. Oklahoma and Nebraska would be together.
I haven't seen anyone licking their chops more for that since David Stern for Celtics Lakers in 2010. I mean, the NCAA's just got to. The NCAA's just got to be gimme, give it to me. Come on, we need it, we want it, we want the vignettes, we want the good video promos, we want the storyline, we want she won 2 national titles and they're so happy for her and she's a legacy there, but she went back home and led this team to the College World Series. Gimme.
Zach, in terms of numbers, by the way, Lawrence Pete's making a late run as being a number 96. A pretty good line, pretty good number for defensive lineman at Nebraska. Back to Reacher, Alan Richardson. He was, you guys remember when he was Thad Castle in Blue Mountain State?
No, I remember when he was Raphael in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. That's where I remember him from.
He was 54, Thad Castle. That's right.
Oh.
Alan Richardson was in...
How do you say his name? Is it Richson?
Richson. Ritchson.
Richson. That's a tough one for me.
Dykstra spelled backwards is Arksdy.
We're having a Harry Carey discussion the other night at a baseball game about Harry and spelling people's names backwards.
Oh.
Like Pete Rose. That's Esor, Steve.
I thought it would be...
You kind of miss that these days with some of the bland broadcasters in the TV booths.
Well,
especially Saturday night baseball or Sunday night baseball on ESPN, which is best listened to on mute. Like you don't get, people going, you know what, Carl Ravitch doesn't say to Eduardo, hey, you know what Soto is backwards.
We're missing announcers who just all they want to do is drink beer and eat red meat. We need more of those guys. We have less and less of them.
Did Harry with Jimmy Pearsall, did they eat red meat? I know they drank beer.
I don't think they ate.
Oh, they drank. They had some steak. They had some ribeyes. I mean, there's a Harry Carey steakhouse, probably.
In the bleachers.
I don't know. They probably had a Stratosky sausage. Home and family operated. Look, it's
seemed like a personal plug there.
I know.
No. It's a joke from Joey Molinaro. If you know, you know. He's a good comedian. Anyway, regardless,
I'm just the guy that does coach impersonations.
He does.
He was trying to impede on Frank Caliendo's ground
a little bit, but then he
got hired by Barstool.
He got hired by Barstool.
He's disappeared though, right?
No, now he's doing his own thing.
Okay.
And he actually has like a pretty good following, and he's like an underground comedian now. But what he does is like fake booths. Like he pretends he's like in a baseball booth, and like he takes like, pop culture things that are happening, and he tries to fold them into like baseball announcing sketches. It's awesome. It's sick. He's really, really funny. But what was I going to say? We just have too many announcers who eat kale. We need some.
I'm listening.
We just need some unhealthier announcers, some guys who aren't afraid to put.
I'm your guy.
We just need a couple guys who like to drink a little bit more, like eat more red meat.
You think
a little bit more bold?
Speaking of announcers, do you think COVID killed Brockmeyer?
Yes,
probably.
Ran out of storylines.
Yeah,
I'd say so. Carl Rapp, you're right though. Every time I watch Sunday Night Baseball, I never have the thing on. The volume.
Nope, they don't make it
so damn
They don't
good.
make it special, and then you happen upon Oakland and San Francisco this weekend, and you get John Miller and Mike Krukow in the booth, and you're like, Johnny Miller.
Mm-hmm.
I loved. So Mike Krukow, the former Cub pitcher way back in the day, him and Dwayne Kuiper have made a great pair in the booth, the TV booth for the Giants. John Miller just does radio. He goes over
some
to TV.
Dave Fleming sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So John Miller all weekend called the A's Oakland. And then
Good
Mike,
for you.
and then they were doing the game on Saturday, and Mike Krukow called him Oaklamento.
Nice. There you go.
Was that like a statement, or was he just like? Because I wouldn't blame him if he went all week accidentally saying Oakland, like, or was it purposefully? No, I'm going to call him Oakland and like rub it into the
because when they would play him last year, they would make a big deal. Like they went all in on the owner and how they're, it's terrible for the Oakland A's fans.
They advocated for Oakland.
they there was some intentionality behind what they were doing this weekend. But John Miller and Joe Morgan were Sunday Night Baseball. Like they made it a big deal because it was John Miller. Now it's just, Yankees Mets game last night was okay, but Sunday Night Baseball is not special anymore.
Carl Ravish is a very just kind of straightforward announcer. He he gets the job done and he's good and he's fine, but I'm never really like tuning in for Carl Ravish. I'm not like, oh my God, Carl's on the call. It's going to be a great game. If the other game that I'm watching is on commercial, I have no problem quickly flipping on the volume of Sunday Night Baseball. But if we're picking like who I want to listen to, I don't really I think Ravish is just kind of, there's nothing like overly unique about him, which maybe that is the unique part about him.
There's your Kale.
They also don't make it, it's not special. It used to be special. Like it was a standalone.
Well,
and ESPN, I think that's the only week during the week they carry baseball is on Sunday nights now, right?
Well, the MLB is leaving ESPN entirely, kind not mars this
not
season.
Yet.
I think they are.
Not.
Oh, are they still? It's not official?
There's still some negotiations going on. Might not include Sunday Night Baseball, but they may not be done with ESPN entirely.
Plus.
Tim writes in, can he ask Nate when he comes on, why in the hell the Liberty pitcher threw over 400 pitches in 3 days?
Jeez.
Because they wanted to beat Texas A&M?
Like
which they did.
Ross Hothburn.
They did. They beat the number one national seed. First time ever in softball that the number one national seed is not playing in the Super. We have 3 unseeded teams that are playing this weekend in college softball.
That's incredible. That's just a softball thing, though, because I think every time, like, when there's just, like, parity, we all want to point to, like, NIL and the transfer portal and all that type of stuff. But I think that we do have to recognize sometimes that there are sports that don't just really get that type of luxury of being able to have the money to move around and invest in everything like that for it to be a factor. But that's what makes these playoffs special. It's just like those Cinderella runs.
So let's see, Liberty. Now, when I say unseeded, I'm saying they're not a national seed.
Sure.
Liberty, Georgia, Nebraska, Ole Miss. So there's actually 4. So 4 non-national seeds have made it to this weekend.
How many SEC teams are there in the Super Regionals?
There's Florida and Georgia play each other.
Okay.
You have Texas,
2,
you have South Carolina,
3, 4,
you have Tennessee,
5,
you have Arkansas, 6, Ole Miss who play each
7,
other, and you have Alabama.
8.
Mm-hmm.
8 of the 16.
And 7 of the 8 were 7 of the top 8 national seeds were from the SEC.
Wait till baseball.
Well, but the number one overall is not there, and that's Texas A&M.
What do you think the over-under for combined SEC teams in the softball World Series and the baseball World Series will be? The over-under. 10.5?
8.
8? Oh, okay. I would take the over.
Here is Dave in Florida. Good morning.
Morning, Sharpie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Got the spring game tomorrow night. But, usually when I call, we talk about Little Venice football. I coach high school softball down here as well.
Oh, wow.
And is what we're seeing, and you and I discussed this a little bit this weekend, the pitching and the hitting. Has anybody done that before the both? Because I know Abbott didn't hit like that. Mowat didn't hit. Jenny Finch. I mean, is this rare?
On this level, like to achieve, yes.
So, with all this being said, but by the time she's done, is it a natty or bust?
I don't think so because, you have the rest of the roster down. She might have a smash sister in Kuzak, and Sammy Bland has a clutch genie, but I don't think it's natty or bust. I think if you did not make it to Oklahoma City in her 2 years, I think you'd be disappointed. But I don't think natty or bust.
Gotcha. So are we going to put her on the Mount Rushmore in Lincoln?
Of all-time athletes?
All-time athletes.
If she wins a national title.
If she wins a national title, yes. But if just a trip to Oklahoma City, she's in the discussion, but I don't know who you'd be moving off.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair, but I do agree that she probably may be the highest paid athlete. Well, I shouldn't say that because Dylan probably has her beat, but you think she's a close second?
I personally
not
wouldn't
very far
know.
behind. I think, like Matt was mentioning earlier, like Harper Murray, Nebraska volleyball players do very, very well. I don't know that, she may not have a bunch of endorsements, but she's taken care of. She didn't come back to Nebraska for money.
Yeah.
So, whatever you like, what her worth is, probably her worth to that particular sport is much higher than Dylan Raiola's. But Dylan Raiola, the quarterback at Nebraska, is always going to be paid the highest paid person on campus.
Right. She's also, though, and I don't know if Dylan has this, but Jordy does have a national deal with Mizuno.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Dylan does not have a national deal with Mizuno. But he does with Panini.
I don't know if he has a national deal with Adidas or whatever, but Jordy has done like quasi commercials and stuff for Mizuno.
So Dylan has Panini, and then he has now the Adidas one. His two large, well-known ones.
Well, it's definitely rare because I don't think I've ever seen a girl hit like that other than maybe the Ayalo girl from Oklahoma a couple years ago.
Oh, damn. Every time she swung, that ball went out of the ballpark. All right.
Well, there wasn't much difference this weekend.
No. I mean, at some point, though, don't you not pitch to her? Like you give her the Barry Bonds treatment?
As a opposing coach,
yes.
She wouldn't see a pitch at all. I don't care who's on the mound.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, it's ridiculous because you could, I don't know what you'd throw up there that she's not going to make contact with.
I mean, top of the first inning, she's leading off. Don't pitch to her. Worst case scenario, you got to run her on first. She hits a home run. That set the tone for that game yesterday.
Yeah. Hey, I'm looking forward to the first time she comes up against Pickens on Friday. That'll be great. That's great for the sport. Oh, yeah. Hey, quick one here before we let you go. 78 miles an hour is what Pickens threw, the highest recorded pitch in the history of NCAA softball. What is, because you're a baseball guy as well, the equivalent in baseball would be 100?
You might be looking at the Chapman type speed.
101, 101, 103?
Your good high school girls, and we had a girl pitch for us a couple years ago. She's at FIU now. She threw 70 consistently, and she was mowing down high school girls. So you add another 8 to that. Then, of course, the major league equivalent, you're taking what? I want to say like 15 feet off between an MLB mound and a softball mound.
Yeah, I always laugh at us jugheads that say, "Oh, I could hit a softball."
Oh, no way.
I mean, it's not 60 feet 6 inches, which if someone's throwing mid-90s is on you fast. We've now sliced down the distance, and they're coming underhand, and that ball is moving. Not just the speed, but it's moving up and down. So I laugh at the people that will wake up today and go, "Oh, I could stand in the box." No, you couldn't. You wouldn't. You wouldn't even make contact. So just shut your face.
You remember at an All-Star game a few years ago when Jenny Finch pitched to Pujols and just made him look absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm more impressed with, what the Max Fried sweeper that he threw to Soto last night, or the ability to throw a softball that moves as much as it does, rises, drops, in and out, like some of the best pitchers in collegiate softball can do.
It's different, and you're watching on TV, it looks like the ball rises up and down, which it does. A girl with a good rise ball is a killer. But I stood in the box a couple of times when our D1 girl was throwing, and it's on you quick, and it curves, it moves, it drops. I mean, it's a whole different. Baseball, you got to worry about a ball dropping down. With softball, it can drop down or rise or inside, outside. It's a whole different animal.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, have a great week. Thank you.
You too, bud.
You guys want to join that and jump in with a bat and say, I can?
Hell no. I wouldn't touch
You could do it for charity, man.
I would do it for charity.
They should do it to raise money for the NIL of softball.
Your bills.
Oh. I like that idea.
You pay if you've got a big mouth and you think you could make contact with Jordy Ball or anybody or another pitcher. I mean, it doesn't matter. Any pitcher.
No,
step in,
any
pay
pitcher.
$100.
Jordy Ball doesn't matter. I would pay though. I would pay to do it. I would pay to do it, but
you would because you have a rational confidence, and I
no,
love it.
No, I don't think I would.
I would go to support.
I would pay
your confidence is not on the level of Connor.
Yeah,
of like things you can do that you really can't.
Like land a plane.
But you're close, and I appreciate that.
I would just want to. I love competition. Like I just want to compete. You know, so it's just like $20 to compete against the best softball player in the country. Absolutely.
I see your marketing mind just kind of turning right now.
Would I absolutely strike out on 3 pitches? Sure, but what if I hit it?
What if you get a foul tip?
What if I hit it?
I always laugh at.
What if I get a barrel to it?
I laugh at these people like myself that sit around and talk on the radio about sports, and then you show up for a home run derby and you can't even get it out of the turtle. You're like, whoa! I made good contact and it went straight up and hit the top of the batting cage and came straight down.
I love it sometimes when I'm sitting on the couch and I'm watching football and I'm like, this guy sucks. And then I have to remind myself I never made it past 8th grade Pop Warner football. This guy's brutal. He's got to put more spin on his ball.
All right. Random Mike, stay right there. That's how we'll wrap up the hour. Next hour, Evan Bland stops by. We'll talk some baseball. Is there momentum with Nebraska baseball? After their weekend in Purdue, kind of a choppy weekend.
Yeah.
Now, Nebraska needs to go 4-0, and they may face a big left-hander, 6'8" from Michigan State tomorrow night. That is the 70th top prospect in July's MLB draft. And then they'd get Oregon. But if you lose tomorrow night, would you come and play Oregon on Friday?
I ain't going to the game.
Would it matter?
I'm not going to watch that.
That's what the bracket is. We'll get into that with Evan when he joins us. Plus, we'll talk a little football, because we are 96 days away. So we've got 96 things to talk about in 1620 The Zone. All right, a couple of things because it's a busy week on the state high school championships. State track and field gets underway on Wednesday at the refurbished Burke Stadium. But state soccer has been moved up because the weather is supposed to get nasty after 4 here in Omaha. So the girls' state championships, B is at 1 today, A is at 3. State baseball, which is out at Warner Park, gets underway at 10 a.m., and they just have a rolling schedule that they'll deal with the weather. So plan accordingly. The Big Ten baseball tournament loads in today. 10 a.m. tomorrow morning is the first game.
Oh, really? I had no clue. I
just focus on that 6 o'clock game tomorrow night.
I really had no clue. I really had no idea. They just don't talk about it. Nobody talks about it.
You didn't check the bracket?
No, I did not. You know what? Yeah. You know what? Seriously. I did not check. I did not check to see who's in what pools or anything like that or who's playing who. I live 5 minutes away from the stadium. I could go to all the games the entire week. I did not check once to see what ticket prices were, who's playing at what time. Are there any players I'd be interested in seeing? I have zero interest.
You should go.
Well, I'm going tomorrow.
Enjoy some baseball.
I'm going tomorrow to the Nebraska game, obviously. There's a lot of guys actually coming down from Lincoln to see that, which is once again why Nebraska baseball has saved this tournament, because there are actually people in this state who give a damn about it now.
D1 baseball did their field of 64 before conference tournaments. They have Creighton as a 3 seed, UConn as a 3 seed. That Creighton series win over UConn is going to go a long way again. I think if they win on Wednesday against St. John's, they're in no matter what. So the Big East will get 2 teams. The Big Ten right now 3. UCLA is a 13 national, Oregon is an 8 national, and then USC is a 3 seed. Michigan and Iowa are on the outside looking in.
How embarrassing is it that the Big Ten
that all 3 are from the West Coast?
Yeah, they might as well be the Pac-12.
Well, 4 of the top 5 teams this year in Big Ten baseball are the new ones?
Yeah.
I mean, are we surprised?
No, not
Pac-12
really.
baseball is pretty good.
Yeah, but we don't give a damn because it's all about football. So we got to make sure that we get our football dollars, and we got to make sure that we cater to the football team.
I think there's probably 7 or 8 programs that really care about baseball.
I'd take your word for it. That's low. That's so low.
Is less than half.
So low.
Yep. All right, here is Random Mike. Mike, thanks for holding. Hope you had a good weekend. Welcome on the Prairie Flower Casino Hotline.
Thank you. Were you able to watch all the games over the weekend that our softball team played?
Yes.
Now, was ESPN Plus the only way to watch that?
Yes. Or if you were watching the 7 innings where they would cut in, but to watch the games in its entirety, it was only ESPN Plus.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, it was, as a Husker fan of different sports, that was more fun watching than just about anything I can remember. Now, why does she have the number 98? Do you know?
That I don't know.
I think it might be her dad might have played with that. Was he might have been a lineman in college.
Let's find out if Dave Ball wore number 98.
She wasn't born in 98. That's the only reason I know people who really wear 98 or like those higher numbers.
You know what? That's one of those questions which I think comes up that we should know, but we don't know.
I have no clue.
We're going to find out.
I thought it might be Grant Wisdom. That was his number, right?
Hell yes.
And
I don't think it's why she did it, but
I tell people Grant Wisdom might be the greatest winner in Nebraska history.
Yeah,
3 national championships.
Time out. I need a 30 here.
Yep.
You are right, Mike. So her dad, Dave, who played college baseball, she wears 98 as homage to her dad, Dave.
That's awesome.
Because Dave, when he played football at Doane, wore number 98, so that's why she wears 98.
Yeah,
that's
cool. And that's great.
It's really cool.
Grant Wisdom, I have nothing to get about Grant Wisdom.
Yeah. That's why I call him Random Mike.
As a great winner. But how soon people forget. A week ago, she struck out, was it 3 times against UCLA?
Yeah, she had the final game of the Big Ten tournament, that they played
in. And got out-pitched by the UCLA pitcher, who was kind of a left-handed version of herself. Now, I haven't seen the Tennessee pitcher, but I will tell you this.
She's nasty.
Jordy hit, according to the radar they were showing over the weekend, she hit maybe 72 a few times, which is fantastic. But the thing is, Gary, you're a UNO guy. I watched the UNO softball game when they played, and I had a great seat what a nice facility.
Oh, when
And you're right on top of it.
Nebraska played here?
Yeah.
Oh,
Were you at that game?
yes. We need to socialize more.
But I was right on top of the action.
Yes. Yeah. So you saw, because Matty Agroff pitched for Omaha that day, and Jordy pitched.
A good pitcher.
Yeah. You saw how difficult it is to hit both of them.
Yeah, but with Jordy, the thing was the movement, the riser moving to the right and up at a real high speed, and basically unhittable. Especially when she mixes in the changeup and the other thing. Now the Tennessee pitcher, she might throw even harder, but I don't know if she's got the movement that Jordy does. Did you know?
Yeah, I don't know enough about Pickens other than
she throws hard.
This weekend when she pitched against Ohio State, she was pretty nasty. I mean, it's a great matchup. I can see why ABC has latched on to that super.
No, it's fantastic. But in terms of how much money she's going to make, she's our Caitlin Clark. And you mentioned Gatorade, a few endorsements. And a lot of girls, young girls, love softball. And she's a hero. And she could easily be a national figure. And what a special person. But she's human. But it's the way she reacts to not playing well, which she didn't the week before. And she was. I love the line from the Southeast coach. He said he was talking about the difficulty in pitching to her, and she can handle everything because they didn't have a pitcher that could hurt it like UCLA did. But then he said, "Hey, that's somebody else's problem now."
Yes, it is. And she's elevated because of being a two-way player. Mike, thanks for the phone call, and thanks for helping us figure out why she wears 98. My apologies to Dad. I was not up on my Doane College football knowledge. That's a story that we should know. Yeah.
Oh, we covered
That's
this weekend.
Pretty cool. That pays homage to her dad wearing 98.
You got Han Solo'd. Random Mike, I love you. I know.
I'm going to tell you also another discovery on why somebody does something that is related to Nebraska when we come back. But the two-way prowess of Jordy Ball has elevated her a whole nother level. Great for the sport. Opens the door to Nebraska, and you go, hey, they're pretty good. And it's not just 98.
No.
Nate Rohr coming up a little bit later. It's not just Nate Rohr, who had some great lines this weekend. He ate a lot. Hey, he ate a lot of grits, he was telling me. We'll talk to the voice of Nebraska softball at 9:15. Evan Bland in about 30 minutes on 1620 The Zone. All right, good Monday, everybody. Welcome in. Gary and Matt. We've learned something new this weekend about directions. Or instructions, I should say.
Hey, I went a whole weekend in Omaha without using the GPS.
Nice. Did you go anywhere, though?
Yeah, I went to my usual places,
So the casino.
Okay.
So the Target and
the casino.
True.
and
Target.
church.
And a bar.
No bar.
No bar.
No
bar
bar.
this
The
weekend.
bar came to you?
No, we hung out. We just watched some sports, had a little poker game, had a little good time, had some friends over. Just chill. It was chill.
Nice.
Right? I had them come over right after the Preakness.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see anybody watch me sweat out the Preakness, so I had them come right after.
How was Mick Sportsbook this weekend regarding the Preakness?
A banger.
Okay.
A banger. My dad called me at 9:00 on Saturday, and he goes, "Bet the 9." And I go, "No, hey, how are you?" Or how you doing, or anything like that.
He's trying to help you.
He goes,
talk later.
He goes, yeah. You're doing good. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. He goes, all right, great. Bet the 9. I'm like, okay, sounds good.
Shout out, Dad.
Thanks, Pops.
Looked really, really good. And then here comes journalism.
That was I don't care what horse people might say. He should have been disqualified. That was absolutely ridiculous. He ran into one horse. His backside knocked another horse off of the track. His jockey then threw an elbow at the other jockey, and we're just calling that racing?
He would have hated the Bad Boys Pistons. I saw nothing.
No. I love the Bad Boy Pistons.
Yeah, that's all.
I mean,
all about winning.
Rispoli had some. I mean, he had some courage and he took a chance. His weight shift and then go into the whip. It
should have been called back. And I'm not just saying that because I had money on the horse that came in second.
First of all, it was a fantastic race.
Incredible
and
race.
Even made
You're
better.
saying journalism should have been censored?
Larry Columbus, who was the announcer, and his call might have been one of his best.
He was good.
So cool
good.
how they have done the split screen where the camera's on him while he's calling it. And anybody that's called horse racing, it is very difficult to do. But if you get to the level that he is at, you are the best of the best. But what they did not do, so they interview everybody that's involved with journalism. Like last night, I'm watching the All-Star race of NASCAR, and of course on FS1 they were able to go into an extended post game or post race.
Yeah.
And they're interviewing Joey Logano, and the emotions
Joey was pissed.
Yes.
It was great.
But they should have. I wish they would have interviewed a couple of the other jockeys. No, I'm past interviewing the horse because I don't think it's going to give you much. It'll be no comment.
Yeah.
I wish they would have interviewed the owners, trainers, and jockeys of the other horses that felt like they got screwed. They had plenty of time. I mean, NBC stayed on the air for a good 20 minutes afterwards. I don't need to see everybody talking to the journalism people. I want to know. I want to know what was going on.
I want to hear about Jorge Ortiz.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear what he has to say about Clever again. I thought he broke his leg. It looked like the horse got seriously injured on the rail, which, by the way, he was positioned to make a really, really good run on the inside until he got completely pushed off the track. I would have loved to hear from Gosker. Just be like, what happened there? Were you Seabiscuit and you're blind in the left eye and you didn't see him coming?
Only you would interview a horse and I would be here for it.
I didn't know who was riding Gosker. I really don't know who was riding him, but I would love to interview him.
I see content possibilities at the zoo.
I'd be a great jockey.
I mean, it was a comeback. It was a where journalism was locked into, and the move that he made. It was an impressive comeback, and second jewel, he was the favorite. The Kentucky Derby didn't work out. We had bad jokes about journalism. Hey, look at this. I mean, talking about the comeback for the ages. Journalism came back on Saturday, and Scotty came back yesterday from jail to quail. The inevitable, he's going to win the career Grand Slam.
You didn't write headlines in college?
Scotty Scheffler is the closest thing we have to Tiger right now.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it be the dominance, just who he is, and also his iron play. It was kind of funny yesterday, if not funny for John Rahm. So John Rahm was, a co-leader for about 12 minutes?
There was
he got robbed at 13.
You could have had a stopwatch.
Co-lead.
You could have had a stopwatch of like how long you thought like, oh my God, John Rahm could end up winning this thing. It was about 12 minutes and 37 seconds.
I mean, I loved it because I thought, okay, when Scotty is on, he's going to take off. And you felt like that's how he ended Saturday.
Yeah.
And Rahm starts the day 5 shots back, and before you know it, he's tied for the lead. I think it did in real time last about 12 minutes, and then he just collapsed, and Scotty didn't finish great on the Green Mile, but he really didn't have to.
No.
But he's before 29, what he's doing. I mean, we're in an interesting era of golf, but with Scotty yesterday, did it change people's opinion? Because I don't know that.
I don't think it did.
Well, of like the personality, like as a golfer, you have to say, I mean, we're
entering hollow ground.
We're
we're in weird territory here.
But I don't run into many people that openly root for Scotty or openly root against him.
Have you met a guy that's like, I'm a Scotty guy?
No, but I'm wondering if he tried to change that yesterday with the ultimate hat spike. When he wins, he slams the hat down.
I thought he tried doing it when he gave his little kid a hat to play with when he was entering his scorecard. Did you see that? He gave him that. He gave his child a hat and a book and be like, all right, go play with that while I go and figure this out and win a lot of money here. I thought he's becoming more relatable, but I don't think anything really changed.
Well, I'll tell you how he's becoming relatable. I mean, from the golf standpoint, I mean, we can't relate to him the way he plays.
God, no.
And if you've not seen it, Nike released an ad after he won. Great.
They've been killing it with those ads.
One of Nike's better ads that they put out. But you know how he's relatable? One, he turned down the golf league.
Yes.
Because he wanted to stay at home.
Mm-hmm.
Then it came out over the weekend, and maybe this is the first time I've heard about it. Maybe it's well known. So you see his wife, and I think I have seen his wife and his newborn more than my own here in the last couple of weeks, because at Byron Nelson, he dominated, and so his wife and his newborn were shown a lot. And then yesterday, he takes his young son, and the fact that he did not fuss, he didn't do anything. No. He was just in the moment. You got all these people that are hugging him, and he's still holding on to his kid. How about this story that came out over the weekend? And it wasn't Nance that was telling it. So his wife is a lawyer, like
Meredith.
Yes. She is a high-level lawyer.
Okay. Wow.
Scotty essentially is a stay-at-home dad. Like he has allowed her to have her career while he has his career, but when they have needed someone to stay home with their newborn, it's been Scotty.
He's just a good dude. He's just a good human.
Yeah.
He's just straight up. He's incredible at the game. He's a really good ambassador for the game, but not because he's happy-go-lucky, because he does get mad at golf, and he does get mad at the rules. And
he ain't no Shane Lowry, though.
No.
Or Brooks Koepka.
Or Terrell Hatton. But at the same time, I don't want
Max Homa.
I think it's good for the sport that they just don't have oh my God, everything's great, everything's nice and dandy. Like, they actually have a voice. He's just great for the sport. The problem is that Tiger was just so good that it's just really hard for anyone to step out of that shadow.
Well, and timing is everything. Tiger came along at a point in golf where you'd never seen that before, and it was new, and you had people that were picking up golf clubs that normally wouldn't because of one individual, and he took off, and he had a marketing engine behind him.
Yes.
That's why I think this is the closest we have to Tiger in terms of the golf play. Now, but I don't know that Scotty wants his persona to be elevated. I think he just wants to play golf, and he plays golf at a high level, and I'm sure he's wishing that more Americans would play at his level, because the first two majors haven't been great. When you're talking about Harris English being one of the better Americans to the first two majors, you're like, whoa.
Were you looking at the leaderboard after Friday? The American flags were gone on that. It was like in the beginning of the round, you're like American. By Friday, you're like, it was it's a little worrying for the Ryder Cup.
Now, there's another part of this weekend. So Rory had a bad weekend. I mean, Koepka used to be Brooks would show up and play the majors. I think Brooks not playing high-level golf every week on the LIV Tour has kind of hurt him a little bit.
I think it's hurt all those guys.
Well, yes. And John Rahm popped back in.
Yeah,
but from the standpoint of this weekend, so Rory had a bad weekend. And you remember the PGA rolled Rory out there to talk about the LIV stuff, okay, to be Mr. PGA. And we fell in love more so with Rory at Augusta and that story. And then he takes some time off and he comes back, and he has the whole driver controversy, which Scheffler admitted last night he had his driver confiscated as well. So he was playing with a backup driver. Is Rory didn't talk to the media for 4 days. And in a sport where fans would like to hear from their heroes. It was kind of an interesting dynamic of Rory not talking to the media, but Bryson DeChambeau, who has finished runner-up at the PGA, he did talk to the media. He sat down with Amanda after his round yesterday, and he was really, really good. So I'm wondering if somebody said, hey, Rory hasn't talked to the media. Here's your opportunity. But that's a storyline along with the dominance of Scheffler. I will tell you another storyline.
Yeah.
Both you and I play golf. Is the equipment is ridiculous right now.
Insane.
Scheffler is in the middle of the fairway, and he hits a 7-wood, 285 yards. A 7-wood, 285 yards. The equipment right now is unbelievable. So he hit that shot, and I went, did I really hear that he hit a 7-wood? And even like Kenelon was the commentator, and even he paused and was like, okay, we got a situation here.
Well, Bryson's on a drivable par 4, and he took out a 3-wood. He took out a 3-wood on a drivable par 4. That is absolutely ridiculous. Bryson DeChambeau, and this is just, it's not just him, but he's the one that gets talked about it the most. It's driver pitching wedge. That's all it is for him. That he uses just 2 clubs. It's the club that he tees off with, and then it's his pitching wedge. And then on the par 3s, if it's a little extended, he'll use a higher iron. But that also too, the rules, no lift clean place, the whole mud ball controversy. It's been a weird week for them because I just feel like the PGA, they just kind of set themselves to not get out of their own way. And I really don't think from our conversation last week about superstars that we're any closer to golf having a superstar. I don't think we are. And it's funny with the whole, so Scotty is the 3rd guy to win 15 PGA events in less than 3 years. The other 2 were Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods. He's the fastest. Scotty, though, is 29. When Tiger did it, do you know how old he was?
20?
He was 20. So his first one was when he was 20. So by the time he did it, he was 23 years old. So, I mean, that's the one thing where, yes, Tiger Woods has absolutely helped the sport more than anyone has ever helped the sport of golf. But we're unfortunately at the time where just his shadow and his popularity, I think, has kind of waned back on some of these guys who are up and coming, because it's like, yeah, Scotty's great, but he doesn't captivate us like Tiger does. Like that's all. Oh, he's incredible, but you know what? Tiger was playing against better competition because he didn't have the Live Tour or whatever. Like it's just one of those things where it was a event that it was just a weird week. It was a weird weekend for golf, but it was great for Scotty, which they needed him to win.
On a different note, back to softball. So we got all excited because late last night, early this morning, they released the schedules for the Supers. Now, Nebraska is still going to Knoxville to take on Tennessee, but the first 2 games were going to be on ABC. There's some miscommunication going on here. Oh, no. Because they have re-released the schedule for the Supers. Nebraska, Tennessee is not on ABC. As a matter of fact, nobody is on ABC right now.
What happened?
So Nebraska, Tennessee now, I want to see what, okay. Nebraska, Tennessee Friday night is at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Ooh, so you have Nebraska baseball and softball playing at the same time Saturday or Friday night. It is on ESPN2. Nebraska, Tennessee will play at 4 o'clock Central Time on Saturday. TBD is the television.
Okay.
So we go from day games on ABC in Knoxville as originally released to now Nebraska, Tennessee is 6 p.m. Friday night on ESPN2.
What was the change in circumstances?
I don't know.
Stephen A. probably made a stink about something.
Indy 500's on CBS,
yes.
right?
Oh.
This
or NBC.
I think NBC, but that's not till Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to think of other events that might have.
I don't know. It's not on ABC anymore.
Corresponded with that.
So we've had a change there. So somebody at the NCAA or at ABC is getting.
But why the hell is it a miscommunication, or they just decided against it?
Well, I don't think they decided against it. I think somebody probably misunderstood because it looks like the start times for everything have been adjusted.
Okay.
So there you go. ESPN2 for Nebraska, Tennessee.
Hey, I'll go delete that one.
All those nice things we said about ABC and growing the sport.
Yeah, take it back.
You know what? Grow more of the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese rivalry. Adam writes in a couple of things
I
here.
Agree.
I'd be curious to see.
I agree.
I'll be curious to see the third round of the PGA against Chicago, Indiana WNBA ratings.
It'd be tough. That's gonna be close.
A couple of thoughts from Adam, who is a golfer. I don't think Scotty gets the fanfare because he doesn't have the aura, vibe, personality, or superstar like Tiger and Jack. DeChambeau is the live golfer the PGA Tour misses the most. And then about hitting a 7-wood, 285 yards. A lot of the players hit a 3-wood on that drivable par 4. It was only playing 304. Most of the guys, the driver is too much.
I think that it's an incredible conversation with Scotty because it's just like, how much more does this guy have to win? Like how much more does he have to do in order for us to be like, no, you are the game, you know? Or is it just to him? Like, that's my thing with Scotty. I'm constantly
more controversy.
Well, I'm just constantly in the argument of is it his fault or is it my fault? Is it his fault that he's not as captivating or entertaining, or is it my fault because I'm not appreciating golf enough?
You know what I like about this? He don't care.
I know
he doesn't care. I think people care more about where he ranks. He just wants to go play golf.
But I wish he cared a little bit more because it's important.
So what do you want him to do?
See, that's my problem. I don't know.
You want him to punch somebody? You want him actually to go to jail and stay in jail?
Yeah, I really, this is the argument I have. Is it
I think you're spoiled by. I think you're spoiled by the aura of what Tiger had.
And no one will ever
agree. No one on the tour will ever be like that again.
But at the same time, golf needs that guy. Like golf does need it. I mean, every sport needs that type of transcendent superstar, right? Now, I think golf is in a healthier place than most sports right now with the amount of talent that they have. I don't think they're in a healthier place with the separation of leagues. But they're living with it.
So the role of Nike to help Scotty Scheffler should be what? Because the ad they put out right after he won last night is pretty cool.
Make more commercials. Seriously, just put him everywhere. Just staple his face everywhere. That's what I think it is. Just make him undeniable to the fact, and then maybe he'll become so undeniable that he'll become disliked because he wins so much, and then even that will give him more attention. Because then every week you're rooting against him.
Disliked. I don't think he can be loved. I don't think he can be disliked. I think he can just be appreciated.
I think he totally can be disliked. I think a lot of people can find a way to dislike a lot of people.
Can't you just enjoy the golf? Yeah.
I know
that he's great.
I know. I that's what I'm saying. It's just like
it sounds like you're trying to put him into something that he's not really capable of doing and doesn't want to do. And I just, as an average Joe, I appreciate him for he's really, really good at his craft. And you know what do you want from him?
I don't exactly.
So I just want good golf, and I want him to rack up majors, and I want him to meet the moment on those moments.
Exactly. Just enjoy watching
golf. This was a great weekend to appreciate athletes that meet the moment, whether her name was Jordy Ball or his name was Scotty Scheffler. When the moment is there, they meet it and they exceed it. And I'm very appreciative of that, and I don't need any more. I've had enough excitement in my life.
I haven't.
Okay.
If you can tell. I need guys to be superstars. I need guys to be bigger than their sports and girls.
All right. When we come back, we know now, Jordy Ball wears 98 as a homage to her dad who played football at Doane.
Scotty Scheffler wears what number?
Don't need to wear a number. We're not in a golf league. We're not playing golf uniforms.
Or have 9 sponsorships above your shoulder.
This is why another thing you're down on the persona of Scotty Scheffler is Nike's polos that they give to him. They aren't like great.
Everybody was wearing the same polo. Everybody was wearing that same like burnt orange Texas color looking polo.
NFL equipment now.
Hey, I'm going to tell you something about Matt Rule. I got you, Matt Rule. I figured something out, Matt Rule.
Now I'm back. Yes.
With that, we come back. Evan Bland still to come within the hour on 1620 The Zone. What's your opinion on finger gestures?
Shockingly, I don't really have an opinion. You can do them. You can not do them. Doesn't bother me.
Growing up, driving in the city is very fluent in them.
What?
Oh yeah, lots of finger gestures, lots of anger.
White guy, middle finger.
thought-
Only white guys give middle finger.
I don't do the middle finger when I get mad on the road.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen often. I'm not like a big road rage guy. I do
You're
the
in the right town.
sarcastic thumbs up. That's what I hit them with. Okay.
Go get him, kid.
No, I go, good job. Good job. Way to cut me off there, or way to not let me in.
Way to do 40 in the left lane on Dodge.
Yeah. Good job. Good job.
Are you guys familiar with the Disney point?
No.
So one thing they teach the
listening.
characters and the workers there is they do a point. So they do the two fingers together. You know who also does that?
Oh, here we go. Yes.
So Matt Rule. So Rule has been doing this since he got to Nebraska. And if you go to the parks, it's pretty prevalent when they will point either at a direction or if they take a picture, you'll see that.
Sure.
And so it's been called the Disney point. So people thought when Rule got here and he started doing that, okay, maybe somebody has taught him because it's a very, I've heard it's like a comforting thing. I don't know, but
he's trying to make Nebraska the happiest place on earth.
Yes. And then at Big Ten Media Days, before the start of his first season, Connor Happer said, "Why? Why do you do the point?" And Rule said, "To cover up my stomach." So we thought,
but two
okay.
fingers doesn't fully do the job, you know?
Whoa. Are you saying that Matt Rule needs the fat shot?
No, not at all. I'm saying the two fingers
you.
aren't big enough to cover up anybody's stomach, okay? Two fingers are very small. People's stomachs are larger than that. Doesn't really do a whole lot.
Some have said it's a sign language letter.
Okay.
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 Somebody I know pressed him on it recently.
Really?
Yes.
How annoying would, like, not annoying, but like if I like getting pressed about that, like, why do you do the two fingers? Like if I were Matt Rule, I'd be like, really? Like,
well, it's become his signature.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So
because there's
what
a lot of theories out there about why he does it.
Sure.
And this is a theory that has been floated.
Okay.
Now
confirmed.
It's the one I believe in. He does the two fingers and the point because it's the state of Nebraska. The fingers are the panhandle.
Oh, look at that.
You just blew his mind.
Oh my God.
It's like you took that purple pill for the first
He should
time.
get pressed about it. Wow, that is sick. That's cool. No, it is. Like if you extend the thumb out just a little bit, you can kind of get the curve. And then you got can you bring it down?
Where is Thumpkin indeed?
No, I'm not on camera because my computer sucks. But yeah, look at that. That's sick. So why wouldn't he tell people that though?
I just kind of like to keep it a little bit of a mystery and people try and figure it out. But now you have that knowledge and you look at it, you're like, oh, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. Does it with recruits? Does it with fans?
I'm going to be like pinching the screen super hard, zooming in next time I see it.
It's kind of brilliant when you think about it.
It is kind of brilliant when you think about it. It's
Man
another one of those things.
So there's been some people that are like, I think that's what it is. And then he got asked and he was like, yeah,
I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Matt Rule, if he wanted to get into the world of like promoting or like marketing, like especially like if he wanted to get into like pro wrestling as like a marketing or a marketer or a promoter, I feel like he would be really good. He does a lot of like very smart, intelligent, small, tricky little marketing things that like brings attention to him and brings attention to the program. Like everything is very psychological.
You're saying Scotty Scheffler should hire him?
No, that's PR. That's public relations.
It's everything.
I think Matt Rule,
he's PR, he's marketing.
He's very good at that. That's smart. And because now every time you think of two fingers and you think of that point, like if I see that point at Disney World, who do I think of? I think of Matt Rule, man.
Not what I always thought of, but anyway, I digress.
So we've had an adjustment on the schedule for the Super Regionals. Again, it will not be on ABC. Sorry, KTV.
Yeah, you really
as of right now,
there.
There are
Sorry,
no
Andy.
games on ABC. It is all ESPN2 or ESPNU, not even regular ESPN. So Nebraska, Tennessee, the first game Friday will be at night, 6 p.m. in Rocky Top, ESPN2.
What do they
Saturday, 4 p.m., TBDer. And then Sunday is an old TBDer.
What's gonna be on during that time at ESPN?
Probably the ESPN, the Eastern, or what do they have this year? Western Conference
the Western
Finals.
Conference.
And then hockey. Still got hockey.
Still got hockey.
So I probably got some WNBA.
Yeah. ABC's probably got The Bachelor reruns.
Probably got SportsCenter. Probably got Peter Schrager taking over for SportsCenter, just doing a talking show last week of Around the Horn.
I'll be tuning in.
Somebody told me that Tony Reale went woke, and that's why that show fell apart.
I don't know.
I don't watch the show. I know of the show, but I don't.
20 years.
I only do 4:30 PTI.
That was the back in the day.
So here's the thing with Tony Reale going woke or anything like that. I've never followed Tony Reale on anything in my entire life. I would just tune in, and he was Around the Horn, and that was it. I would tune in.
It's been on for a long time.
No,
Max Kellerman was my Around the Horn.
For a half an hour, he'd just be there. He'd do Around the Horn. I'd be cool. See you tomorrow, Tony. And then I would watch him, and then it would be we do it all over again. I know nothing about Tony Reale's life. I'm a big fan of his.
Well, he was
nothing about his life.
He was on PTI.
Yes, that's how he got his start, a stat boy.
And then he did some stuff with Good Morning America.
But then that's a guy that's just had a half-hour broadcasting gig for an incredibly long time and has just held on to it and had it. And they've produced
benefits are outstanding.
They've produced good shows. Like I've always enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed watching it. And they bring like Kornheiser and Wilbon have that's a great show, and they bring the best perspective, but Around the Horn always brought different perspectives. Even if you didn't agree with it or not, they always had differing opinions, and it always got you thinking a little bit more. I always appreciated that show for that. But Reale, he's a weird broadcaster in the fact that I only ever relate him to that. He's only ever really done that. That's all I think about.
Is he staying at ESPN or is he
have
done?
No clue. It seems like he's
very talented.
Well, it seems like Tony Reale's just brainchild and baby is Around the Horn, and that it is his entire thought process goes into that. So
a podcast.
How weird would it be to see him hosting Sunday Night Football or doing any other show?
Yeah.
Can you imagine him on the Sports Center desk, reading off the prompter?
No.
I don't know what you do with him. He has just embedded himself within a show.
I know they're adding, they added Rich Eisen. It looks like Peter Schrager is going to get an afternoon talk show, not about football.
Just about
it's
all
replace
sports.
a Sports Center.
Yeah, it's just all sports.
I heard it was not
sports
not about sports.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just read a headline. So,
quick note from Warner Park. They are currently on schedule to go at 10 a.m. this morning. Millard West Papio. Class A is out at Warner Park. They have a rolling schedule because the afternoon, the weather is supposed to get nasty around here. So state soccer moved up from the nighttime to the daytime, 1 and 3 at Morrison, and then baseball is be on a rolling schedule, 30 minutes in between each game. So they are scheduled to go at 10 a.m. out at Warner Park.
I can't wait for Cags.
So they're at Salt Lake City this week. When they come home, they're home for 12 straight. They have St. Paul and Iowa.
I'm going to be at a lot of those games. Period. End of story.
All right, Evan Bland. He will be at every single Big Ten baseball game beginning at 10 a.m. tomorrow. He doesn't know that yet.
How is that? Are you going to break the news to him?
He'll join us next to try and figure out the path to a week from today to hear Nebraska's name announced, what it looks like, and whatever this thing looks like. Yeah. Somebody messed up with NCAA softball today. That schedule is completely different than the first one they released. But Nebraska and Tennessee are still playing in Knoxville. Evan Bland joins us next on 1620 The Zone. As many of you have and will, you know how to get a hold of our next guest, Evan Bland of the World Herald, to ask him, what is this Big Ten format and how does it work and what's going to happen and what if you lose you know where to find him. You find him right now. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Good. Hey, we've talked enough about this format and you've written enough, and I think you're going to be needing some Excedrin trying to figure this out. But what is the advantage for a team like Nebraska with the new format compared to the past?
Well, I mean, you got to start the conversation with the seeding. So, like, I went back and thought, okay, if Nebraska a year ago had the current format, like, would that have even been a possibility? And I think it would have. You don't ever know for sure because the seeds are different, but they would have been able to lose a game and then rally back and win a championship. But instead of having to win 5 straight, they would have had to win 3 straight. You win 1 in the pool, and then you win the semi and then the final. So, like, a year ago, I think it would have been beneficial. Now, if you're seated below 4th, then you have to go 4-0. Like, it's pretty clear. Like, that's the mission. And if you lose your first game, then you play sort of a consolation, pride-related, if you're in the NCAA tournament mix, resume tweaking sort of game, and then that's it. So, I think the tournament sets up really well for Nebraska if they can beat Michigan State on Tuesday night. And then you have this meaningful game with Oregon Friday night with the full force of your fan base out in Omaha trying to get you out of the pool play. And, like, that could be a really cool setup. But the challenge is, like, I'm not sure that it sets up great for Nebraska in the sense that Michigan State, while not a great team, has one of the best individual starters in the Big Ten. And you can bet they're going to throw him right away. And then if you're Oregon, like, you can wait and see. Like, if Nebraska wins that game, Oregon has no incentive to throw their best guys against Michigan State because they don't need to win the game. At that point, all they need to do is beat Nebraska. So it's not super advantageous for a 5 to 12 seed. Definitely more so for a top seed. But it's going to be one of those deals where I think fans are still probably going to be confused as the outcome. It's not exactly intuitive. And again, like, you just hope you don't get a situation on Friday night where you've got this really cool matchup late in the Big Ten tournament that could mean nothing. You hope that doesn't happen.
Look, not to be a dead horse, but we all know that this season compared to the expectations has been, disappointing. But do you think at any point this year, this team has played on the field at the level you expected them to during the preseason?
I mean, you've seen flashes. The Oregon State series is the one that stands out. Like, Oregon State continues to be a strong team. And, like, Nebraska's had some individual strong games, but I think that weekend was one where you're just like, whoa, like, there's some potential there if the offense can provide decent support and the pitching comes close to what they thought it could be in the preseason. You wonder what, like, the month of May could have been like if they had Friday night figured out. Like, if Tucker Timmerman were available, like, how many more games? Like, I don't think they probably lose to Northwestern off Friday night or some of these teams that they dropped a game to down the stretch. So, like, there were moments, like, where you can just tell, like, yeah, there's some potential here, despite all the flaws, despite some of the injuries on offense, despite just the lineup struggles at times. They still have found a way to win 6 of 7 Big Ten series. They were essentially a good 8th inning away from winning the Iowa series as well. So, like, outside of their struggles against old Pac-12 teams, like, they've just kind of done what they've done. They dug themselves a hole early in the season. So I think that's sort of set the tone a little bit, like, as well as they played for much of the last half of the season. They had put themselves in such a hole from the non-con and then early in the league slate that it just kind of felt like it was what it was at that point. So they've showed it. Obviously, the struggles in the midweek and the Friday night stuff this is a thing that pulls them back a little bit. But yeah, I think they've showed some potential. The thing is they haven't won 4 games in a row all season. That's something they're going to be tasked with having to do this week to continue to play. and it's a 500 team. And I think that's probably appropriate just given the highs and lows that we've seen from these guys since mid-February.
So they got to win tomorrow night against Michigan State, but it's going to be a challenge, something you just alluded to. Joseph Zerwa, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. He's a 6'8" lefty. He's the 70th top prospect in July's MLB draft. He shoved against Oregon earlier this year. He's 8-3. He's got a 2.31 ERA. It's a lefty on a Friday night, so it's a number one guy. How does Nebraska match up with him, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody matches up great with him. I mean, he's like, what I look at in a situation like that at this time of the year is ERA in league games, because the non-con is so different. And I think Zerwa's, I mean, his ERA is, I want to say, second or third in the entire Big Ten in terms of guys who are consistently starters. So he's been really good. I mean, he's a huge reason why Michigan State's here. They have a pretty flawed team in a lot of ways. Their Saturdays and Sundays have been adventures, but they've always been good on Friday nights. And, Nebraska, when its lineup has gone well, oftentimes it's been the lefty bats that have done it. It's been Ty Stone or Max Butenbach or, Riley Silva's been good of late. Like, all these guys swing it from the left side. So if you're Nebraska, you're going to have to make a decision. Like, are you cool with the lefty on lefty, or are you going to go a little bit more right-handed? Have some guys that maybe wouldn't play quite as much. Nebraska does perform better, I believe, against right-handed pitching than left-handed in terms of how much they hit. But it's, like I said, it's a tough challenge, because typically, like, your 12 seed isn't throwing one of the top starters in the Big Ten, and that's what Nebraska is going to be up against. I think their challenge, like in a game like this, is going to be, one, try not to let him get two strikes on you, because he is able to finish with punch outs. But two, like, if you're locked in, like, work that pitch count if you can, and if you can get into that Michigan State bullpen in the middle innings, like, that's probably when you're going to have to make your move. And then, of course, you're going to need good Tucker Timmerman. Like, we've seen two starts, assuming it's Timmerman. We don't know that for sure, but assuming it is, he's had the great start and he's had the stinker against Purdue. So is he able to sort of buy time and kind of play even with what Michigan State's going to do early on? I think that's going to be a big key too.
If they end up running the table and winning 4 games and making it to the NCAA tournament, what is the one key thing that they do or that happened that we haven't seen a lot this year?
I think it's going to be the offense would heat up. Maybe somebody individually gets hot. Maybe the lineup as a whole, it just catches fire a little bit more. I think the pitching kind of is what it is at this point. Generally speaking, like, there's a range of outcomes that you kind of expect with their rotation. You have a pretty good idea of who they're going to go to in the bullpen. The defense has been, for the most part, pretty strong. It's been the offense. Like, are you able to get a little quick runs with maybe a 2-run home run? Is this a game where the base running is sound? Is this a game where they can take advantage of some wildness on the other side or string together some walks? And we've seen it happen before, and we've seen them get hot at this point in the season in the past. I think they have candidates for that, all the way from Gabe Swanson to Caden Brumbaugh to a handful of other guys. So I think that's what it's going to have to be. I think the pitching is probably going to you kind of go in saying, hey, you're probably going to give up 2 to 3 runs, 4 runs, and if the offense can support you on the other end of that, I think that's where they're going to be able to make the move. Because I still do think, like, Nebraska pitching depth relative to the league is an advantage for them. So the deeper you can go into a tournament like this, I think the better you feel about it. Now, you're not going to feel that advantage maybe until the semifinals, just because, again, Oregon's not going to be incentivized to use guys early if Nebraska wins, and they're going to see the best of what Michigan State does. But I think if you were to make a run, if you were to get into the semis and beyond, like, that's where you feel like maybe that depth of the pitching pays off. And then again, you need that offense to support what they're doing.
Evan Bland of the World Herald joining us. Nebraska baseball opens up in the Big Ten tournament tomorrow night against Michigan State in an 8-12 game. And then Nebraska is scheduled to play Oregon at Friday at 6 p.m. as well. Oregon being the number 1 seed. Your colleague, our friend Tom Chattel, wrote about the Pac-12 teams coming in and the impact they had on baseball for the top 5 teams. The only 3 that kind of look like they're guaranteed to get in the NCAA tournament are Pac-12 teams, 2 are national seeds. We haven't seen them roll through Haymarket Park yet because UCLA, USC were on the road. Good or bad? Are there both advantages of the impact of the Pac-12 schools in Big Ten baseball?
I think it's to be determined, really. Like, I was really curious how the new schools would impact the league this year. I thought there was a chance that because of the extra travel that you do from the West Coast and how it tends to be harder going east with the time change and things, I was really curious to see how they would make that transition. And the answer resoundingly has been the talent and the tradition have won out. And, like you said, I mean, all those teams at the top of the league, I did not think Washington would be a very good team this year. They've been good. USC's struggled on a national level for a long time. Looks like they're in range of possibly returning to the NCAA tournament. And so you just wonder, like, is that these teams bouncing back? Is that these teams feasting on the Big Ten and capitalizing on a schedule that's maybe not as challenging as what they had in the Pac-12? And then if you're the Big Ten, like, how much do you celebrate this? Like, if the Big Ten gets 4 or 5 bids and 4 of them are from teams that weren't even in your conference a year ago, like, how much do you really pound your chest and say, hey, the Big Ten, we're back? Like, it's schools that have had a lot of tradition that are continuing to do that. And then you've got, even a team like Iowa, which blew a chance to win the regular season title, is not in a great position as an at-large team. Like, that tells you, I think, a lot about how they scheduled in the non-conference. There were a lot of examples of that in the Big Ten, even the schools that were from the traditional league footprint that were contenders in the regular season. They didn't challenge themselves in the non-con, and they just weren't really players nationally because of it. So I think the league as a whole, the profile is going to go up. There's going to be more interest, I believe, in the tournament this weekend because there are national seed implications and there are some brands that people recognize. But if you're sort of a traditionalist and you look at the situation, like, it went from hard to harder because now you can't even count on your automatic bid to get a traditional Midwest team in there. Like, you're going to be fighting just to do that and to finish in the upper third of your league. So I think if you like quality baseball, this is a win. If you're rooting for this move to sort of raise the tides of other traditional Big Ten teams, you might be a little frustrated.
So with these former Pac-12 teams that are now in the Big Ten, I still look at them as, hey, this is a win for the Pac-12, right? If any of those 3 teams end up here in Omaha for the CWS, I'm going to think of them as, hey, good for the Pac-12. Do you think there's a timeline at all to the point where we'll get to being like, oh yeah, USC, Oregon, Washington, UCLA, they're Big Ten teams, especially in baseball?
Yeah, at some point we'll get there.
Yeah.
Like, you think, with Rutgers and Maryland joined and whatever it was, 14.
Yeah.
And I would feel like 4 or 5 years later, it kind of felt like, okay, they're Big Ten teams. When Nebraska joined, I'd probably say about the same. Felt like maybe 4 or 5 years later, like generally when maybe the players who were in the previous league are gone, you kind of feel like all that they know is the new league and all you kind of associate them with maybe is that new league. So yeah, I'd say a few years from now, it becomes more normal anyway. But you're right. Like, there could be a scenario where Oregon finally knocks down the door to Omaha, gets out of the supers, and are we really going to be saying first Big Ten team since Michigan in 2019 to make the, like, it sort of rings hollow at this point. But that's just the kind of the weird reality we're in with conference realignment. Like, this is a time of year where you're just reminded constantly that these conference realignment decisions had nothing to do with baseball. It's very odd, but I think we'll probably get to that point. Certainly not going to get there this year.
Do you think there'll be a discussion? Because I believe the tournament goes through 27 here in Omaha, and we know what Omaha has done for the Big Ten tournament, but now we have West Coast teams are here. Do you think we'll hear some more discussion about the future of where the site will be for Big Ten baseball?
Yeah, it's a good question because I don't know, like, as it stands, that the league is paying all that much attention to the event, to be honest with you. I mean, there's so much focused currently on the House settlement and where the college football playoffs going and trying to get the league right from a basketball perspective. Like, my personal sense is that the league is just kind of happy to have it in a stable situation so they can set it and forget it. Like, that's like, the crowds are decent. They haven't been decent in the last 15 years, whenever it's been anywhere else. It was in Target Field the one year, and it was in Indiana the one year, and it just didn't draw very well. So I think they're happy with it in Omaha. I think Omaha is happy to have it because it's sort of a dry run for the College World Series and a nice warm up for the staffers behind the scenes and just the people that are ready to get this thing rolling. What I'll be more interested in is the reception to the feedback of this current format now, and if they want to make a decision to alter it again. I think there's a willingness and open-mindedness to say, hey, this is we increased the number of teams this year. We realize it could be an imperfect situation. I do think there's an open mind to say, maybe they revisit things in a year, especially if, say, Nebraska is in a situation on Friday where it plays a game that doesn't matter. I think that could be something that could really prompt some change. And like, you look around at some of the other leagues, I think the ACC and the SEC have the format thing figured out, where you've got 16 teams, your top 4 seeds get a double bye, your 5 through 12 get a single bye. And like, what the message was from those schools was, forget about tiebreakers. What we want are buys for fewer games, less exposure for getting dinged, and then your pitching is all the better set up. Like, a single elimination for baseball is not great, but if you go one and done and you're a top seed, your resume doesn't take much of a hit, and your pitching's all set up for the NCAA tournament. Yep. So I think you take a long look at that format for next year, especially if the reception to the current setup maybe is less than optimal.
Yeah, well, we can guarantee there will be change, and there will be some discussion, and there will be baseball. Evan, we appreciate it. We'll see you this week here in Omaha.
Yep, thanks, guys. See
thanks,
ya.
Evan.
Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. They're protecting the regular season, making the regular season matter, and I get it. I think the tiebreaker will be the one that'll be twerked and tweaked. I don't understand. Like, people immediately go to the run differential, but we've seen, lopsided things. I would love to see him, the first tiebreaker being runs allowed.
Oh, okay. You know what? Honestly, if you want to make the regular season more important, I mean, immediately, I think maybe make the tiebreaker regular season record. If you had a better regular season record in the Big Ten Conference, then you get to advance because of that, rewarding regular season games.
All right. Coming up in the next hour, the man that has perfected the stand-up selfie will be live. The voice of Nebraska softball, Nate Rohr. Maybe he knows why the schedule is so screwed up.
Oh, he probably does.
In the span of a couple hours from the NCAA. Nebraska, Tennessee were going to be on ABC. Now they're going to be on ESPN2. Now they're going to play at night. They're still going to play in Knoxville. And you will buy tickets, and you will travel, and there will be a blend of red and orange together. And what does that make?
I have no clue. Yellow?
2 of the popsicle colors.
That'd be a hell of a popsicle.
It would be.
It's a popsicle super.
There you go. Summer.
And Tennessee will be wearing powder blue.
Oh, here we go.
Nate Rohr will join us coming up next hour in 1620 The Zone.
recognize
Been there.
in your eyes. This would be a great karaoke song.
I could see that.
Yeah. It's like a banger that people forget is a banger.
It was a banger. I remember. And now Kia's brought it back.
And I think you can sing this. Like
Yes.
this is a more singable pop song.
No, it's a good song. Yeah. I liked it then. Still like it now.
There is a Lincoln connection to Maroon 5.
Oh,
Really?
Mhm.
What is that?
James Valentine was a guitarist, was one of the original members of Maroon 5, is from Lincoln.
That's awesome.
His dad used to host a talk show on KLIN, Robert Valentine, and then they moved to Utah, like back maybe in 2000. But James, I think like Matthew Sweet, did he go to Lincoln Southeast?
Ooh, I would ask you. I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know. I would not know. But I feel like Maroon 5 is one of those bands where it's like they only play at the award shows now. Where it's like every couple of years you see them at an award show and you're like, man, Maroon 5, man, they had good songs. They're a good band.
Oh, to be 21 again.
God.
Yeah.
Well,
Maroon 5 was like, that was like my first band. That was my first album that I ever downloaded on my iPod was a Maroon 5 album.
Isn't Adam Levine, he's involved in a lot of different projects. So Maroon 5 has kind of taken a little bit of a back seat.
He's taken a back seat from the spotlight, but he's always around, if that makes any sense. Like he's not always like the A-list guy, but like you see an Adam Levine thing every once in a while.
I got you. Playoff time, he comes in, he hits some big buckets.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got you.
Like he's your 7th, 8th guy, but like you remember Sean Livingston. How can you forget about Sean Livingston?
I heard his leg break on the radio, so yes, I remember Sean Livingston coming back from doing a baseball game.
There was some unfortunate news over the weekend in terms of the world of entertainment. Did you see that Dad Luke Nichols quit his YouTube channel, The Outdoor Boys?
So sad.
So in 18 months, he went from 2 million to 14 million subscribers. He has over 1,100 videos. He's been doing it for 13 years. He's super popular. He's very entertaining.
I've never heard of him.
Just up and called it quits.
The Outdoor Boys. He is the ultimate, like, in the background YouTube type guy. Like, you don't have to be watching it. You just turn it on, you put the volume on just a little high enough to hear it, and then you tune in every once in a while, and all of a sudden he's just like making a snow fort, or he's like killing a salmon with a rock, or he's like, hey, I got he's about to freeze to death, and he's trying to tell you, like, while he's freezing, he's trying to educate you what
like
you
Bear
should
Grylls.
do. Like, he's awesome. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to sleep. I never, he was like, I'm going to sleep with a warm bottle of water here. Like, he boiled water, and then he would like hold it. And, like, it would keep him warm. The guy, he's awesome. And then he brought his sons into it, and his sons were like outdoor boys. Oh,
yeah. His goodbye on YouTube a couple of days ago was kind of sad.
I didn't watch it, but I didn't watch the goodbye. But I know that a lot of people, I was introduced to him by a lot of my friends where we would just go and hang out at his place, and it was just beyond the background. He's awesome. He's a good dude. I'm sad he's gone. But you know what? Those are videos, like the Dude Perfect videos, if you know Dude Perfect, where they've stood the test of time. Like, you can always go back and watch those. He's the same exact content. You can watch the same videos over and over and over.
He's at 15 million subscribers.
He might become more popular. Like, he might become more popular in this like 1 or 2 months since he's retired. And then it'll kind of...
So you're saying it's a ruse?
No.
Genius.
I think he's genuine.
Yeah, I think he's going to spend time with his kids. He's got a young family. He's been doing this for a while.
Because you got to hike a lot. Yeah. And there's got to be the mental exhaustion of that, of constantly, like, putting yourself in not, like, dangerous situations, but very precarious situations. It's got to be taxing.
I was trying to tell you guys earlier about something I learned this weekend. You ever looked at a bottle of shampoo?
I have.
Sure.
So the answer is no?
Yes.
Talk to Jimmy.
I have.
Shout
out shampoo.
Did you know that there are instructions on shampoo?
I have seen that.
Yes.
And the first instruction is to wet your hair?
Gotta wet your hair. People forget.
Is that...
You don't wet your hair before you put on.
I do, but do we need to put directions on a bottle of shampoo?
Well, my shampoo has directions on it because I have hair loss shampoo.
Okay.
And so I have to let my shampoo soak in my hair. It has worked, actually, for 5 minutes. So it has totally screwed up my shower routine because I was a 3-minute shower guy. Now I at least have to be 5 minutes.
That's okay, though. Enjoy that shower.
And let it soak in. No, I don't want to enjoy my shower.
Why?
I want to be in. It's a car wash, man. I want to be in and out. I wet the hair. I do the hair.
Hey, I don't.
You don't enjoy after a long day
shower.
Oh.
Yeah,
No.
I'm one song. That's my rule. I would put on one song.
That's kind of how I judge my. Yeah,
and then I go ahead, and then I'm in. Songs out. And I go, all right.
Unless it's Inagata Davida.
Yeah, but I put on a longer song, like a Taylor Swift song or something. Like 15 Taylor Swift. That's a great.
Too much information here, but
that's a great shower song. Wow. I'm just telling you, that's not the song that I.
Mine yesterday was typo negative, but continue.
Just saying, that's a great shower song. That Molly by Lil Dicky. That's a great shower song. Stranglehold, another great shower song.
All right, we can agree on that. I mean, it's a good drinking song too.
We have not let you tell about your weekend. So the stone is gone.
Oh, me. Oh, I'm more interested in Matt's weekend.
Did you get lasered out or just?
No, it's not out yet.
Oh, it's not?
No.
You're handling the pain today pretty well.
Yeah, and I'm still here. I told you Friday. My ass would be back here on Monday. It's not the stone that caused the problem. I mean, I guess.
And if Aaron Gordon can play with a hamstring yesterday,
exactly.
You can.
The infection's what damn near killed me.
Oh.
Yeah, but the stone is coming out, and I can confirm that as of about 30 minutes ago.
I thought Jimmy was going to be like, it wasn't the stones that hurt; it was Matt's jokes on Monday that really did the dagger.
To be honest, I don't really remember anything about Monday other than the fact I was hoping someone would put me out of my misery, and it almost did happen. But yeah, we're on the men. I now completely understand Dr. House so much why he was addicted to the Vicodin. Fantastic stuff. Don't recommend it. But as I said on the stream, I know I'm back because I think it's hotter than hell in here. Last week I was freezing.
It's ideal in here.
It's actually quite nice in here.
But this is good for me that's my point. And I'm starving. So
I'm so hungry.
I didn't have an appetite for a while. And in fact, combined with some other things, this is great. I've lost about 25 pounds in the last few months. So I'm ready for pool season. I didn't lose 25 pounds last week.
Okay. But over the last few months.
You don't need to lose weight.
Yeah,
you're in great shape.
Yeah, you're in really good shape.
Doctor might disagree on some things. Right? But I feel as good as can be. And if I look like I'm not feeling well, that's because when you're trying to get your body clock back on this schedule after you rediscovered West Coast baseball for a week, fantastic.
Sure. It's a great point.
You keep waking up because that's what the meds make you do. Probably about 2 hours of sleep last night. So I'm fine.
Lord.
Pumped to be back. I like coming to work. Go work.
My doctor is going to be pissed when I show back up. He's going to be
because you'll
really
laugh
mad.
at his job.
No,
Yeah.
No, I will not laugh at his
You're
job.
like, I had a friend. He had a kidney stone.
No,
Why do you want to go do that?
I've learned my lesson.
He might die. That'd be funny.
I didn't know.
It'd be content for the show.
Whoa, I did not say
I preferred
that.
Peter anyway.
Thank
you, Peter. I love
you. None of these things happen. None of these things happen.
Oh man, he's back. Damn, I had Reaper minus 4.5. Damn.
There are. Look, I bet on a lot of things.
What am I going to do? Edmonton plus 225 or Jimmy in 4 days croaking?
I would parlay.
I'm going to fade.
I mean, where's the value?
I'm going to fade the Reaper.
Yeah. But to the disappointment of young Matt and maybe some in this building, I'm here. I'm back.
Wishing.
I missed my zone, brethren.
So we're
an on-air shout out to Josh Otson. That's all seriousness. Josh sent me a real nice message late last week, and I replied back to him finally once I came about my wits, but I wanted to on the air give him a shout out.
Yeah, he say, are you experiencing the rolling or the Flintstones?
Yeah.
No,
so it hasn't passed yet?
It's passing. Yeah, it hasn't completely passed.
I do want to admit too, I was a little insensitive because I wasn't sending you I was texting you, but I wasn't sending you nice notes or anything. I was trying to talk about the Knicks.
Oh no, that is the one thing that kept me going was watching the Knicks win, knowing how much agony it cost you. So
I'm all in on the Knicks and Timothy Chalamet.
Oh yeah. It's 1994 all over again tonight at the Garden.
He is just like every normal sports fan out there. He just happens to be dating a supermodel, and he happens to be sitting courtside, and he happens to have a couple of bangers of movies. But you know what? first and foremost, he is a real sports fan.
He is a real fan.
He's a real sports fan that was not heckling our very own Brian Windhorst on Friday
I
night.
saw that. Leave Windy alone.
And then they jumped the guy with the Halliburton jersey, too. They started throwing trash at him.
That's why they released a WWE promo for this Eastern Conference series that will include, I imagine they have to have security around Reggie Miller sitting courtside doing the game.
You really think they'll have security around him? Is it really
Although the Youngs will be like, why are they heckling the guy from TV?
At MSG with Reggie and the hate they have for Reggie Miller.
And now
the Knicks fans are feeling it.
Oh,
God, that's awesome.
I love burn down the city.
I love that Reggie still hated there. I love that people can't stand him.
He does too. Reggie loved that stuff. Still does.
Winning Time, I think, is.
It's a damn good one. In fact, I may go back and watch it today.
I might watch it
on
today.
the heating pad.
That is it's for sure the most underrated one out of all the pinnacle for 30
for 30, because people most recently remember Winning Time.
Winning Time.
The 30 for 30 Winning Time about the Pacers and Knicks in the 90s, Western Conference Finals and the semifinals.
Eastern.
That is Eastern. East. That is by far the most underrated 30 for 30 out there. And it for sure is in the top 5, period, of 30 for 30s. Because it wasn't just about the Knicks and the Pacers.
No, it's more to it.
How they brought in Cheryl Miller into that, into the episode, and explained who she was and how incredible she is and how that affected, it's art.
I loved my
it's
NBA.
Just art. I
got to go every night.
I wish I was in your NBA. My NBA isn't.
Hey, I still love the NBA.
Have bad game 7s.
That was a bummer. But hey, shout out Joker. He's drinking beer today.
I told you Friday, and I texted Pete too. I told Pete
he's drinking beer, and he should go the nuclear option. They got to move on from Jamal Murray.
I agree.
They have been knocked out in the postseason by bench depth and two bigs.
They got to worry. I'll say this though. Look at Milwaukee as just a warning sign for Denver, okay? Because Milwaukee tried making the move for Dame and thought that they had to adjust things way too much, and it's ending up now Giannis probably isn't going to be on their team anymore. So
I hope he's not on my team.
Just before Denver does anything drastic and completely blows up a core that won them a title, just make sure it's the right move.
Yeah, they could have used Fat Lever and Alex English yesterday at their current age because they just ran out of gas.
Joker ran out of gas. And
they all ran out of gas.
I mean, Gordon was out there with a hamstring, but he couldn't do much. But there's no way in a Game 7 to move on to the Western Conference Finals, you can have Watson and Westbrook on the floor at the same time. They missed out because they had to sit Joker. He couldn't play all 48, and so they were trying to squeeze some minutes. But they had Joker and Murray on the bench. I mean, because they got off to a good start, and then Oklahoma City's defense kicked in, and
the better
Caruso
team
was absolutely incredible.
Denver was asking Oklahoma City to shoot, and they couldn't make shots. But then, I mean, Oklahoma City, in one time during a game, you'll go, how do they ever get the number 1 seed? And then there'll be a time during a game, a stretch, you'll go, man, they're really, really good. But
I think
Denver, Jamal Murray, the one thing after the title they had to adjust because they had some salary cap. But what are you going to get for Murray? But you got to get bench depth. They don't have bench depth.
Well,
and they're going to have to figure it out because they have Joker. They're going to have a new head coach or maybe the same interim head coach. They just take the title off. But you got to keep Joker happy. Well, I got to give him some help because I think they're further away from winning another title than they've been in a while.
They're closer to being back to the Nuggets after Mutombo than they are now.
I think that they have to have the long discussion of, are we going to use Murray and add pieces to try and get another star? Or do we finally tell Michael Porter Jr., hey, you're the second option now. There's no more of this tweener stuff of if you play well, we for sure win. No, dude. You've waited long enough. You are now the number 2. We're going to trade Jamal Murray for a couple other pieces to increase this bench. So it's going to be interesting how they self-scout and determine, is MPJ ready to be the 2? Because if he's not ready now, when will he be? Or do we try and go out and get another star?
David Adelman got the most out of that group as they could.
Great call, Jim.
It'll be an interesting NBA Finals.
Let's go, Ant.
A couple of small markets, so to speak, in the West and in the East. Indiana and the Knicks and Ant-Man and SGA. Yeah, baby.
That's
not good for the NBA.
That's their problem.
Because
Well,
they'll have a different champion for the 7th straight year. People don't talk about the one-off. They talk about the dynasties and the chase for a dynasty.
Mhm.
So you can say, oh, man, it's great to have parity.
Yeah, we're coming, don't worry.
I don't think in this case it benefits the NBA to have these one-offs.
How much do we talk about 70s basketball? Not
they-
not nearly enough as we talk about 80s basketball or 90s basketball.
Oh, man, you make
Right?
me proud.
70s,
It's true, though.
70s basketball, 70, 71, 72, 73. We only had one team win multiple championships in that era. It's a forgotten era of basketball.
Shout out
The
Bobby
eras-
Dandridge.
The eras we remember are the ones where we have the Lakers and the Bulls and the Spurs and the Pistons and the Celtics and the and the Warriors.
Yep. All right, Nate Rohr, the voice of Nebraska softball, going to join us next. Nebraska, Tennessee, and Knoxville this weekend. The Super Regional Friday, Saturday, and TBA on Sunday, as they call it, if necessary. But at 6 o'clock on Friday night, you can have Nebraska softball in the Super and Nebraska baseball trying to keep their season alive against Oregon in downtown Omaha. Not a bad night for the old GBRs.
No, hell of a double screen night.
Nate's going to join us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, incredible weekend in Baton Rouge for Nebraska softball for the 2025 season. It continues to Knoxville as we welcome in the voice, the longtime passionate voice of Nebraska softball, Nate Rohr.
Holy lungs.
Love it, Gary. Love it.
Hey.
How we doing?
Good. Hey, I just want to start out with something here, and I want you to explain yourself, all right?
Okay.
You and I have known each other for a long time. I love the stand-up selfies. I love everything else you like to do. You like to do, and you do well. Where did this one come from this weekend? That outside corner stretched like my waistband after a crawfish boil.
Frustration and bewilderment at the home plate umpire being a little elastic with her outside corner, and I was trying to express how that outside corner was stretching, and being a person with food pretty consistently on his brain, I thought that would be the best way to express how that outside corner was becoming a little larger than it was at the beginning of the game. It's kind of about the only disappointment of the weekend. I didn't really get any great Cajun food. The ball club, I appreciate very much. They take care of our food, but it's usually catered and it's usually national chains and such. And so I did not get any crawfish or any great Cajun, but that was about the only miss from the weekend. So maybe it came from my longing for a real Cajun meal before we left.
How were the grits?
The grits were okay. Perfectly sufficient. Needed some salt and pepper, but they were a nice little side dish. And it's one of those things. I mean, they taste fine. I'm all right with them. But because it, you don't often get them up here in Nebraska. It's like, okay, this is a novelty. I had better enjoy this. So,
hey, before we get into this past weekend and what is ahead, what happened with the misinformation on Start Times Network that was released earlier and now has been corrected by the NCAA?
Gary, I've been chasing my tail on that here too, and we saw that come out on this morning during our morning show down here. But I don't understand why they released that first set of Start Times networks, etc. Because that the first release had Nebraska playing in the afternoon tomorrow or Friday. On ABC and playing on ABC on Saturday. And now Nebraska playing in the evening Friday on ESPN2 and then later in the afternoon on Saturday. And just asking the people I know in the athletic department, hey, what happened? Unfortunately, that caught them by surprise too. So I would love to tell you what happened, but nobody that I know knows what happened either.
Nate, I've always been an admirer of your work, and I'm glad that this weekend, because of the great run this team has gone on, you have rightfully gotten your flowers in terms of the phenomenal job that you do on the Husker Sports Network. And, your passion towards Nebraska softball is definitely unmatched. And so 2 years ago, when you were told, hey, Jordy Ball, arguably the best player in all of softball, is coming to Nebraska, she's going to be a Cornhusker. Did you imagine that this is the journey that you would have taken with this team to the playoffs and then her getting hurt and all that?
Well, thanks for the kind words, first of all. And second of all, not quite. This is not quite what I saw. I mean, I figured Jordy would be an excellent pitcher. If you'll recall back when Jordy signed with Nebraska, a couple weeks after the national championship run with Oklahoma in 2023, one of the big talking points was that she was going to hit as well as pitch.
Yeah. And
so I've seen pitchers hit on a regular basis, and they usually do all right to decently well, but it feels like it's something secondary to them, right? Mm-hmm. Feels like something they're also doing, but they're really focusing on their pitching. And yet here's Jordy Ball, and she is pitching at an All-American level. And then if you just put everything she was doing offensively in its own folder, that's an All-American resume too. So that's the part that has really taken me by surprise, the way she has been able to sustain her offensive game, the way she's been able to keep the offense separate from the pitching. But of course, if you're succeeding offensively, it's probably helping you more than hurting you pitching wise. But the way that she has just plugged into the lineup and not been just pretty good, not just been a helpful part, but really the one driving the bus offensively is where she has exceeded my expectations. You hear the Nebraska coaching staff talk about it, and I think this is pretty close to what they expected, but I think even this weekend, going 5 for 5, 4 home runs, 7 walks, this might have been the point where finally even their expectations were exceeded.
That's why I picked her in fantasy college softball. I had a really, really good weekend. Thank you to Jordy. Nate, tell me something about this team that doesn't involve Jordy Ball on why they're so successful.
It maybe not directly to Jordy Ball, but I think it's 1 through 9 in the order, including Jordy. But I think they really work hard at trying to cover the cerebral part of the game. They're well covered in terms of preparing for the pitcher that they're going to face, getting the swings that they need to during the week to make sure that they know what they're looking for from that pitcher, ready to attack that pitcher's strengths. Quite frankly, that was one of the things that scared me about the Southeastern Louisiana games. And of course, the scores would tell you that fear was unfounded. But, Southeastern Louisiana had 7 people that had pitched for them, and 3 of them regularly. And one thing that sometimes gives this team trouble is when they have so well prepared for one pitcher and they jump on her and get a few runs on her, that when the opponent brings in another pitcher, they have difficulty adjusting to her and getting locked in and picking up where they were. And yet this week, now I know Southeastern's pitchers aren't quite as good as even maybe the top half of the Big Ten, but this weekend, they were able to adjust very well from pitcher to pitcher. So just the way this team prepares, the entire way, they work hard in the cages, they work hard on the mental side of things. And, you think about somebody like Samantha Bland, who started this season really slowly, was not hitting the ball very well, and she was in the 3 spot for most of the first half of the year. And I think she was burdened a little more because she had moved in from left field to third. And so she was struggling offensively and dealing with all that. But she worked her way through the slump, and now she's as potent a bat as anybody. And so this team's really strong work ethic, I think, is why they're in the position they're in.
Do you think it might be a slight disadvantage for this team that they didn't get to play LSU because they're now going to go ahead and play a very high-level SEC team in Tennessee? And, no offense to Southeastern or UConn, but definitely a major step up in competition.
I could see it being a slight disadvantage in this way, Matt, that they have not seen a lot of elite pitching in the last 6 weeks, 2 months. And if you'll recall the second game at the Big Ten tournament, when they faced Caitlin Terry from UCLA, it felt like it took them a while to pick her up and to get after her. And I mean, look, Carlin Pickens is in a category of her own.
Sure.
Throwing upper 70s, ERA under 1, Southeastern Conference Pitcher of the Year. I mean, you could play in the SEC and still need to ratchet it up a little more to be ready to go against her. But even Sage Marjetko is a really good pitcher. So I see what you're saying, and I can see I could see that being a bit of a factor going in. Now, I think that'll be resolved by that first game.
Sure.
But just the fact that they've not seen a pitcher in the neighborhood of Pickens or Marjetko lately, other than Terry, I can kind of go along with what you're saying there.
I always learn something new when I talk to Rhonda, and I've known Rhonda for a long time. You, of course, know her almost as well as anybody, and she's in her 33rd year, so she's on the back nine. She's overcome the ups and downs of seasons that don't work out so well. She got, we had the thing in 19, which Bill Moose did the right thing and reinstated Rhonda. She's made it to 33 years. She gets to experience this moment where Bolin is packed. You've ridden the journey with her for a while. Well, we talk a lot about Jordy and Sammy and Ava and the rest of this team. What does it mean to Rhonda to have a front row seat to this type of team and this type of excitement around a sport that she has lived and breathed for 33 plus years?
Well, it's interesting. I did a interview with her for our morning show down here in Lincoln on KLIN that we ran this morning. And I asked her about that, because things were pretty dark.
Yes.
Especially in the summer of 2019, where how she went about things was being called into question. And it really hurt this program because all these players who have transferred back in didn't come to Nebraska because of the uncertainty that surrounded the program, most of all Jordy Ball. So, there would be a point where you would have so much doubt about yourself and what you've done and what you may be able to do. But, beyond just the wins and losses, beyond just winning a regional, I think Rhonda Revelle feels very good about the culture of this program, the fact that it's a very player-driven culture. That I think was one of the adjustments she made in the wake of the suspension in 2019 was really focusing on trying to build ownership in that locker room and trying to build leaders in that locker room. And it started with Courtney Wallace, an Omaha kid, and Olivia Farrell, an Elkhorn kid, and Carly Sievers, a York kid. And so they were able to strengthen this program to a place where Jordy Ball looked at it and said, yeah, this is where, I built something good at Oklahoma, but I feel good about coming home and being a part of this. And, you just run down the list, the Kamensons, Hoffman, Bacon, et cetera, to where the infrastructure of this program is strong enough to take in those big-time players. So I know she's really proud of this team, really proud of the work that they've put in, and really happy with the work ethic that they've shown throughout the years. So I know Rhonda is very, very proud of this bunch, maybe as proud as she's been.
All right, Nate, give us the nitty-gritty here. What does this team have to do in order to defeat Tennessee and find their way to the College World Series?
This is going to sound really simplistic, but it's going to be very, very difficult. Let's score runs. I think Tennessee's got a decent offense. They score about 6 runs a game, but they're not an elite offense. But Nebraska's facing an elite pitching staff. In Pickens and Marjetko. And so if this team can find a way to put up 3 runs, 4 runs, give themselves some breathing room with Jordy Ball and her excellent resume in the circle, they've got a chance to win this super regional. So it's really a question of how are they able to push across runs against a great Tennessee pitching staff, and that's getting people on base. They did a terrific job of getting the leadoff hitter on base. I don't know how many innings. The first batter of the inning was on this week. But get people on early and then move them over and get that clutch hit to score them. And I think that's the real key. How do they hit in the clutch, and how are they able to push runs across? And, I don't know if you can rely on a home run ball. Now, I thought that going into last weekend, and Jordy Ball hits 4 of them, and Cusack hits a couple, and Samantha Bland hits 1, but Tennessee's given up 21 home runs this year. So I'm hopeful that they can string some hits together, because I'm a little worried about how do they score if they can't hit the long ball.
Well, we get at least 2 more stand-up selfies, so that's the most important thing.
There you go.
Hey, I appreciate it, my friend. Fantastic work. I like, as Matt alluded to, more people are listening to you in this run, but people that have been with you from the start, they know how much you love the sport and how beautiful a picture you deliver, and I'm so happy for you as well.
Well, hey, thank you for the kind words, Gary, and this team's been so wonderful to cover, and the program always has been, but this group in particular has been a lot of fun, and the journey's still going. So for those who are with it, who have been with us, stay with us. And for those who want to hop on, we still have some room.
Hey, have a safe trip down to Knoxville later this week, and a great call this weekend.
Hey, thanks so much, gentlemen. Take care.
That's Nate Rohr, the voice of Nebraska softball. Started doing it as a student back in 2009. Speaking of 2019, if Bill Moose was a lawyer, Rhonda Revelle would not be the softball coach at Nebraska right now.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we talk about 2019 and the things that she had to battle through, and the fact that it's almost as if at the twilight of this, right? She's been a coach for a very long time. For her to kind of get this player in Jordy Ball and then be able to put the team around her, and then you add on top of the fact that she very easily could not be in the position she is now after what happened in 2019. It just adds another layer to what already is quite an incredible story of softball.
She got put on administrative leave. There were some players that were disgruntled. Jordy Ball had decommitted, and people were outraged. This was on. I remember this. We were on the air when this came across. This was in July, and people were livid. Like there were a lot of parents that wanted to talk, wanted to come on the air and talk about what was going on with Nebraska softball. And so Bill Moose just called the timeout. If Bill Moose was a lawyer by trade and said, we can't have lawsuits, let's cut ties, let's move on, let's make everybody happy. Instead, he said, whoa, what are we doing here? And I credit Bill, because he looked into these, and instead of making a knee-jerk reaction, he did his own little let's review this, because I've been through this before of disgruntled parents and players that aren't getting their way. And he said, you know what? I've looked it over, and what is it? It was right as school started in 2019. He reinstated Rhonda Revelle, and now she's in her 33rd year, and I would think that she has another year. I would imagine her time at Nebraska will conclude when Jordy Ball's time does, and everybody would go, what an incredible career. But listen to her every time, and Rhonda will talk a lot this week. Listen to Rhonda. The one thing I appreciate, it's just, the coaches that we probably don't hear from as much down in Lincoln or at Creighton or Omaha, they sometimes deliver the best message. The Rhonda Revelles, the Mark Mannings of the world. And I always learn something new, whether it be about the sport or about life or about young people when I hear Rhonda speak. So I'm happy for her that she's part of this. Not happy that they got bumped from ABC by somebody in the NCAA office
really
that
excited.
had fat fingers.
You were really
it
sounded cool.
It's great for the
great.
sport.
It is great for the sport.
But it kind of did make a little, I probably should have said, why would they be playing on a Friday at 2 to bump General Hospital?
Well, I was going to ask,
Or-
what the
or
hell was
Mike
going on
Deland.
ABC at 2 o'clock anyway?
The Kelly Clarkson show.
Jeez, get out of here.
I think that's mornings.
I'm sure it is.
She's still
I
doing
don't
it?
know.
No, I think she's at like 12 o'clock.
I don't know. I just know Price
Wouldn't
is
I
Right
know?
still gets you healthy.
I know The View is on at 10 and Pat McAfee's on at 11.
Pretty much the same show.
I think
I know when the Round the Horn, NFL Live, and PTI are on.
PTI is at 4:30.
That's-
Between then, I got a nap. All right, we'll come back, put a wrap on this show. Gary and Matt on a Monday of Big Ten baseball and Summer League baseball in Omaha. and state baseball, state soccer, state track and field. It's a good week. It's a good short week. We got more after this on 1620 The Zone. Hey, so Nate just texted me. Good on him. They did not get back from Louisiana until 3:45 this morning.
I wondered about that.
He went in. What is the morning show starts at 6 in Lincoln?
It's at 6 a.m. So I don't.
Right.
He probably slept on the plane or didn't sleep at all. That's crazy.
Said now it's off to nap time. The old dungeon office there at Broadcast House. Is that the downstairs?
Yeah,
I had an office down there.
I did not upgrade to the point where they gave me an office. I was a nomad. I was walking around everywhere around there. But is he sleeping in the office?
He said he's going to the dungeon to take a nap.
So I've taken a nap.
Nice machine.
I've taken a nap in that dungeon. I actually brought a pillow one time. Not a bad area. Nice
stuffy?
and dark.
Yeah.
No, not stuffy at all. Good air circulation.
No, I said, did you bring a stuffy?
No, I didn't.
I'm just looking at this. This might warrant some conversation for tomorrow because it is list season.
Oh yes, there was a couple lists that were released this weekend that were quite interesting. They're already doing the college football singular position awards, like who's going to win the Bolitnikoff and who's going to win the Doak Walker and who's going to win like the Bronco Nagurski.
Well, like, I imagine I kind of like that.
Like already. Like they're already
That's
doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
We want college football stuff 96 days away from the start of the season.
I even missed the 100.
So I imagine because we'll be into 2025, there'll be a lot of top 25 games and players of the last 25 years.
Probably. We'll get the. I mean, last year was tough. Last year for list season.
Because you couldn't do 25 because it was 24?
No, we got to like the whole end of the first 25 years or the first whatever. Like there was a lot of really big lists, like the top 100 athletes of all time and stuff like that. And like then they did like the top 100 basketball players, the top 100. They really like reamed out the like lists that they were going for. It was a lot.
A big good one around here of the last 25 years. What was the best game involving Nebraska football? But on ESPN, now I see what the list actually is. I just scrolled down to find Dylan Raiola, and he's in tier 6
of what?
Quarterbacks.
No way.
But you got to read more.
That's decent.
Go past the headline. Ranking all 136 FBS quarterback situations into tiers ahead of the 2025 season. So Nebraska,
is each tier labeled?
Yeah, second time's the charm.
Okay.
8 players.
Who are the 8?
So K-State,
yeah,
Nebraska, NC State, Texas A&M, UCLA. So they have Dylan and Marcos. What do they say here? I
always find it funny when you read those articles sometimes, and they pick out players that.
Well, they picked out from October 1st on for Dylan.
Oh, okay.
Where he had a 53.8 QBR, 5.95 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns, 11 turnovers, 9.1 yards per completion.
Yeah, I mean, if you're cherry picking, yeah, you could find it. I mean, he did not play well in plenty of games. There also were moments though, and I think it's the moments that count a little bit where you're like, all right, I see it. Like that was the biggest thing with Dylan. Did he have a great year? No. But there were moments where you're like, okay, I get it. The fact that we went 12 games and there were points where we said that is great. Because if we went 12 games and there was no point where we were like, oh, I get why this kid was a 5-star, that would be sounding alarms. We have a problem. It's there. It's got to unlock it.
Did you do any of those post-October 1? Any that comes to mind right away?
What do you mean? Any of
moments where you went, that's a 5-star guy?
The Jamal,
he also was running for his life.
The Jamal Banks touchdown
makes it hard.
The Jamal Banks touchdown against Ohio State, where he was kind of maneuvering the pocket in the red zone, and then he found him in the back. That was a really good play.
Yes.
I would say, I mean, the Nayer ball was a pretty good ball before he dropped it. UCLA game, I got nothing from there.
Neither did they.
USC, I think USC, that entire USC game where he just got the ball out quick. Like we were so mad at him for not getting the ball out quick against Indiana. Against the Trojans, when he was just a ping, I was like, all right, there we go. There's progression.
I think we wanted by the time you got to November, and I know you peel back a layer and you go, Satterfield, Holgorsen, is you wanted him not to look like a true freshman once you got to November. And there were probably still moments of true freshman-ish that were lingering in November.
Yes, but I do think that there were enough moments with Holgorsen for you to convince yourself of having more of the optimism than the pessimism.
But could you see that you could see the Holgorsen vision that was not executed?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I could also see.
That's why in year 2, I expect the natural growth so I can see the Holgorsen impact that combines with Dylan's ability. So that's what I'm excited about in year number 2.
There is another thing though where yes, Holgorsen being there definitely is the upgrade, But there also was points where the Satterfield vision wasn't getting executed.
No, we're just talking about November.
November on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. But that's going to come with them being together more and talking together more and understanding the offense more and what specifically Dana wants. But there is just the also, man, you just got to throw your 7-yard check down. Hey, just swing it out to the right. Hey, don't be Favre and go for the home run every single time. Like, we get it. Like, bring your eyes downfield from time to time. That's not a Dana thing or a Holgorsen offense thing. That's just Dylan growing up and progressing as a quarterback and having that
progressing would be that he's okay with that because that helps the team win, even though it might not help his
stats. Mm-hmm. Because you look at his high school tape. What is a lot of his high school tape? Oh, I'm going to throw it deep. Yep. Oh, my guy's got a step. I'm going to throw it deep. That's and I saw it more with Holgorsen, but I didn't see enough to be comfortable.
All right, 96 days away. He'll throw 96 passes by the time Michigan is on the docket. There you go. There's my connection to 96 today. We'll tie those two together. Good show, everybody. Again, enjoy the sports.
Yes.
A lot of sports going on. We'll talk about that sports tomorrow when we reconvene. Crossover is coming up next.